Howdy, folks, and welcome to Adventures in Alberon, our 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign. I'm Joe Treff, your Dungeon Master, and joining me are Matt, Miles, Ali, and Tina. It's been a week since we've played, or 2 weeks since we played, because we had the week off for Thanksgiving. So we have a couple of things to do for a recap. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do for music, because the normal music that we use to load into no longer exists on Sirenscape, which is super weird. But for the moment, let me do something a little bit more casual than our very intense theme song.
It's because they realized that it was
too popular because of us.
like their hottest. It was their hottest track.
For sure.
It was just too good.
So
they're like, we need to monetize this.
Yes. Hi, Talon. Also, yes, we had last week off for Thanksgiving, so there was no session last week. 2 weeks ago, we played session 60, so this is section 61. Over the course of the last week, because we didn't have anything else to post, on our Instagram, which is at Alberon RPG, there is a series of old maps that we dove into a little bit more in depth. So some of them were maps that actually were seen, like Smuggler's Dug, and Matt, there's a lot of background noise for you. For instance, Smuggler's Dug, the small northern village that you guys met Laurara the Furbolg Druid in and fought the 2 wyverns. We took a really close look at all the different details, and I wrote a little bit about why the maps were set up the way they were. There's also the Frostmare, the inn that exists within Squall's End, Shay's hometown, that you guys torched, and then Guntir, that you assaulted the owner of through magic. You guys, I posted that and a little bit of the background for that. The Dark Hive, and then a few things that you guys didn't see. And that was really cool. It was like a way to go back and look at some of the things that we made and that never actually made it to the stream. So that's at our Instagram, Alberon RPG. And then finally, the only other announcement that I have, I believe, is that we are using Sirenscape for the sounds that you hear behind you, along with the other sound effects that I don't make, or that we don't make, I suppose. And with that, that's all that I have for announcements. It was a pretty quiet week, so I can jump right back into our recap. And Talon, thank you very much for the bits. Finger Gang. Last that we played, we began with a very intense encounter in a dark space. You all floated through the astral sea towards a chunk of land upon which was perched the listener. This tall, blue-skinned djinn that had served as a de facto leader for the Zinyi for some time. Shay, you had known that he had gone missing. He seemed hesitant to fight you. There was a lot of reserve within the way that he spoke and the way that he fought. However, he put up a pretty decent fight, and many of you, Shay actually falling within, took a pretty significant amount of damage and utilized many of the resources that you had available to you. However, after an intense fight and a brutal attack from Heinrich, you were able to defeat him. He told you to continue forward through this portal that you could see shimmering above this tall statue of a burning banner Asimir, who, Heinrich, you know, would be one of the forces holding Azra at bay in the pocket plane of Calypsos. You leapt through this portal and found yourselves perched atop the giant step, these stone platforms that rise almost like a spiral staircase to a final 3 platforms that you came upon. You saw members of the Ninth Path disappearing over the top. You climbed the ladder and found yourselves at a tall gate. This gate had a fence that ran along it. You saw clouds beneath you, and in front of you stretched out almost floating islands, with much of it presumably now having fallen to the ground beneath over the years and with the events of the Skyfall that you know a little bit about. You managed to brute force your way, essentially, through the gate, versus the very simple ways in which you could have opened it. But you made your way through and up the grand staircase of Yorn. this ancient cloud giant city, white marble and shimmering silvery metal seams of these structures. Glass almost everywhere that you can see, though much of it not intact. Looking across this place, you saw tremendous ruin to what was once very, very beautiful. You went up and found the hearth hall to find shelter and regroup. Heinrich, you consulted your journal, which gave you a very, very direct set of directions using names of buildings, many of which laid in ruin. But picking your way across the ruins, you found yourself upon these iron rings. And you discovered, especially Morwen, stepping within them would have these sort of clouds lift, adhering people to them and drifting from district to district. You avoided dangerous, sparking ruins and mysterious, foreboding tombs, and eventually you found your way to an old tunnel dug into the street and beneath your target. The large building of glass panes linked and joined by shimmering silvery steel. The bottom floor, all white marble, no windows. But through the top, Shay, you believe that you saw the figure Jeruxa, and you know, plummeting through the clouds and eventually landing atop this structure, you saw Crick. The tunnel led you to a barred wall with a massive skeleton trapped within. It lay against the bars, its arms outstretched, the nubs of fingers slightly smoothed, the rock around the bars clawed down as if to escape. Through the other side of the bars, there was elements of stone, and you can see a large space beyond, though much of it dark. You didn't have a lot of chance to look because in your attempts to get through, you created quite a bit of noise. And hearing figures above on the street, probably Ninth Path monks, investigating the source, you hastily, Guntir, formed a block of stone using shaped stone on the ceiling. This led to them destroying elements of the floor beneath them and the ceiling above you. And as the stones crumbled down, Guntir, you see first, just dropping almost silently, monks of the Ninth Path. You see behind them 2 more, 5, and then finally a small figure, a kobold actually, drops down in the back. And in front of you there are 6 of these monks. And I need everybody to roll initiative. Getting right into it, which is fantastic. Give me 1 second here.
I love that Miles and I rolled the same, but our totals are going to be drastically different.
That's part of being a rogue and a tabaxi rogue too, especially.
This is like one of the best Guntir initiative rolls.
I'm going to be really proud at you if you go first.
So, one thing to note, I did post the encounter map in our general chat if somebody could put it in the Twitch chat, but also, because I've noticed it's hard to kind of see some of this stuff, there are a few close-ups for you as well, just so that you can kind of get a sense for some of the stuff in this landscape. I don't think it's going to be a very easy encounter, but perhaps you can find ways to use that to your advantage. Guntir, in front of you, in front of all of you, but Guntir, you kind of towards the front would see a group of monks, none of whom immediately familiar to you, all wearing various bits of purple and black. All right, anybody natural 20? Okay, 25 to 20. 20 to 15?
19.
16.
Oh, Guntir, look at you. All right, Guntir at 18. Morwen, you have 16.
Mm-hmm.
Shay?
Right.
19.
Still,
You said 19?
I did.
Okay. And Heinrich?
9.
9, okay.
not bad for
Interesting.
Guntir.
Wait, so...
Not
how
bad
many
for all
maps-
of you, truthfully.
Sorry, give me 1 second. How many maps? 3, right?
4, I believe.
4. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm
Um,
keeping track.
No worries. So, Shay, you're going to be up first, then Guntir, then Morwen. Then it's going to be their turn, and then Heinrich bringing up the rear. So, Shay, it is your turn. Guntir, you are on deck. What would you like to do? You see in front of you 6 of these Ninth Path monks. perhaps familiar to you, but in this kind of space, it is fairly dark. There is bits of light coming in from the top, but it's really just rays. You can see the gentleman in front of you. You don't know him especially. Bald, human. You can see some of them kind of tucked around into a corner. As soon as they land, they do take up offensive stances. What would you like to do?
How far away am I from them?
So at the moment, if you look at the map, currently, all of you are within 10 feet, and you can kind of be arranged how you want of that skeleton, that massive skeleton up against the bars. They are currently, if you can see by the shovel, that crumbled bit of where there's like a whole bunch of bits of stone. That is where they are, and they're arranged as they are in the picture that you see.
Okay. I guess
What do you want to do?
I'll walk around the corner, and
Okay.
I guess walk up to the first one and
What are you doing?
I'll hit him in the face. Why not?
Okay. Go ahead and roll your attack
It's on!
from behind you.
I can math. I swear. 23
23 hits.
for 7 damage.
7 damage. Okay, so you like round the corner, and there's a moment you do walk. And as you walk towards them, still not quite sure what to do, you can see their stance shifting as if they're about to attack, and you strike first. You hit the first person who you actually, you probably don't know, but as you hit him in the face, he's bald. He has his robes down around his waist. His head kind of jerks back. Another attack?
Yep. That's a natural 20.
Nice. Okay.
And maximum damage. Perfect. It's 21.
Okay. So, Shay, you hit this first one. It's hesitant. You're not quite sure. And as you're around the corner, you make your decision to attack pretty late. So it's a short punch to the face. And as he kind of jerks around, you use the momentum of that to turn all the way around, and your elbow finds the ribs. You feel one break. As soon as that happens, you can hear this, and then from that sound, you can hear that the lung has been punctured. It's pretty hurt.
Excellent.
Yeah,
One more.
go for it.
Because I can. 21
21 hits.
for 12.
12. All right, from a monk, 40 damage in one turn.
That's
Yeah,
nuts.
so it's hit to the face. You see the full spin around, and your elbow finds the ribs. You hear the rib break underneath, and even as the air is leaving, you rise up with your knee and hit him straight in the chin. You feel the teeth shatter against each other as the head jerks back, the wooden prayer beads flinging up. You can actually see the necklace break and the beads scatter across the space. Well done. Anything else?
And then I'll back up half of the way.
Okay, you back up half of the way. I do not believe you provoke opportunity attacks.
not.
So you pull back after this. You can see you already land lightly on your feet before he even stops spinning. That is your turn. Gunter, what would you like to do more when you're on deck?
So are all of them in sight of me, given their position right now?
At the moment, given their position, you can see the first 3, and you have partial vision on the kobold. The 2 who are tucked into the corner, you can't quite see. The woman with, or the half elf with white hair, and this other half elf behind.
Okay, cool. I'm going to use Flame Strike,
Okay.
like right in the middle of the 3 that I can see, kind of like in the blank space that they're at.
And what is the radius of that?
It is a vertical column with a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder.
Okay.
So I think everyone gets caught in this.
Not quite. If it's a 10-foot radius, the kobold is not going to get hit, and the other monk in the very back is not going to get hit, but you're getting the first 4.
So are those not 5-foot spaces?
Those are 5 foot. Oh, you know what? You're right. Sorry, it's so zoomed in, it's kind of hard to see for me.
It's not diameter.
You are hitting all of them. It's It's 40 feet wide, and this ceiling is no more than...
It's 20 feet wide.
Okay, 20
20
feet wide. So
yeah.
absolutely, it'll hit all of them. That's a dexterity saving throw.
Yes.
Okay. What is the DC to beat that?
It is 18, I believe.
18. Okay.
17.
Natural 20 for the first one.
Okay.
I gotta write them all down as I'm doing this. That is going to be... What was the DC?
17.
17, so that is going to be a 16. That is a fail. This is going to be for... that's a 25. That is a 10 for the kobold. That's real bad for him. And then that is... Okay, not bad. So in all, 3 of them are going to fail.
All right. It's half damage for
success. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot of damage. How much damage is that?
46 fire and 46 radiant.
Yeah.
So. The first one is 27.
Okay. It's 27 fire?
27 total. Half.
Okay.
Yeah, half and half, I think. Or 14, 13, I think was.
Okay. So, what do you mean the first one?
I guess that's, yeah.
Yeah,
all-
okay. Just making sure. So, Guntir, as Shay is pulling back, you can see the orange zingy clothing kind of ripple out of your sight, and in that moment you hold your hand out. Some of you in this dark space can see even beneath the robes, Guntir, this brand that you wear glows and blazes to life, and there are actually sparks that emit from the back. You can hear the robes and actually smell it sizzle slightly. But holding your hand out, you can see suddenly there is a rumble from above, and this fire swirls out of nothing and leaps. It's the ceiling. That's a total, you said 27 damage?
Yes.
Okay. You see the ground, the rock, and the dirt packed above suddenly incinerated as it moves up. As this flame, and the flame doesn't stay, does it?
I don't think so. But it's
So as the flame comes up, it's and fizzles out quickly. There is sky. There is now daylight taking the space, and Shay, for you, you can see much better. Well done. That is your turn. Anything else? Want to move?
So I guess I'm gonna get behind Shay.
Okay. Shay, all of a sudden, as this flame swirls around, you feel Guntir kind of tuck in behind you. But as the fire clears and the smoke dissipates somewhat, you can see the person that you just teed off on, broken ribs, everything, on the ground, flat, blackened skin, not moving. He is dead. That is your turn. That brings us to Morwen. What would you like to do?
I'm attacking the closest one to me.
Okay.
Closest enemy, not person.
Sure.
Smack Guntir. No, I'm just kidding. Hey! Good one! Pat him on the butt. Alright. That is a 22.
Okay. That definitely hits.
Yay. Guys, 22 hits.
That's good.
In case you're keeping track.
Yeah. We're narrowing it down real
I mean,
well.
I would hope so, because I rolled a 21 once.
Aw. It's only a 6.
So this is with Lus?
Yeah.
Okay, so you spring forwards with this, and it just kind of pierces the abdomen a little bit, just glances off. You can see a trickle of blood go down. This is sort of this woman. Actually, this is the only person, Shay, that you would know. Now with the smoke clearing and the daylight, you can see this is Vistra. She's a human path of key mastery. She follows into that school that is quite small at the moment. But that is your... Anything else?
Butts indeed.
All right. After the slight nick, you bring the short sword back around.
For a 21.
21 hits.
Oh, see, we're still narrowing it down. All right.
That's good.
It's going great. It's going great.
Oh, this one's for a 7.
Okay.
Butts did more damage.
So it pierces. You can see just this trickle of blood go down. You see her eyes go down. She looks up, and you can see she just like starts to lean in as if to attack. And she starts to say, "Is that all?" And then you just take this short sword, and she has to leap back. You cut into the cloth. You see blood begin to stain it. That's a much better hit.
Shocking.
Anything else?
Yeah, for my movement, I'm going to go behind Guntir, who's behind Shay, and forming a little line.
Okay, so you then leap back, and because he's the only person in contact with you, you provoke no opportunity attacks. You pull back, you can see you have to actually leap over this blackened body on the ground. But as you're doing that, you can see, I mean, that blast that Guntir did, that's a lot of damage. And there is a very concerned look in some of their eyes. But that is your turn? It is their turn. Guntir, you see all eyes just converge on you, even the little kobold in the back. There is... The first two are going to leap forwards. One of them is going to have to shove Shay. So this is going to be a competing athletics check. So Shay, and that's pretty good.
Protect me, Shay.
Athletics.
I'm scared.
Okay. That is a 24.
Yeah, it's a 19 for me.
You're muted.
19.
19. So Shay, you are pushed prone. As this person comes forward, it isn't just a shove. You can see the hands moving forward, and as you step back, his foot is already there, and you are just basically tabletopped onto the ground. Now that you are prone, Guntir, there are two people that have a chance to get an attack against you. The first one, that's going to be a 17.
That is a hit.
Okay. Make an athletics check, please.
Yes. Check or save?
This is going to... there's no athletics save. We've done this before.
Oh, yeah.
Athletics check. You can see this other one, she, like, as this first person tabletops Shay, this woman almost, like, leaps and kind of glides around him and tries to grab your arm.
It was a 19.
19. As she grabs you, yank back. You're surprisingly strong given your body type, and you can see this kind of look of surprise. But even as that happened, you can see the fourth member leap forward and try to grab your arm. I need you to make another. I need you to make another athletics check, please. Ooh, that's a 26.
Yeah, that's gonna do it.
So you are now considered grappled. He leaps around and almost bear hugs you. You see now stalking forward, kind of leaping around, and then like almost scrabbling, all fours, tail up behind him, this kobold wearing these tiny little pair of purple pants, but he scurries underneath. You can see as he gets right into your face, Guntir, your arms bound to you, already kind of has like a bit of a broken eye socket, but you can see holds his hands, rubs them together, and just goes, "No trick!" And he holds his hands up to you. That is going to be a 21 to hit.
Yeah.
You watch as the hands touch you. It immediately doesn't hurt, but all of a sudden you see the eye go blood red and then burst as
My eye?
No, his eye. As he channels his own life force into doing harm to you. You can feel it as if muscles that you didn't know existed tighten in balls, and then all of a sudden bruises begin to form on your skin. You take 50. You take.
On me?
I'm sorry.
Did he just self-destruct on me?
You take 25 points of necrotic damage.
Oh, jeez.
And you can see, as this happens, the eye burst, ichor just down the side of the face. Some of the scales almost wilt and fall away, but he pulls himself back up. You can see a smile, blood coming from the teeth. That is, however, all of their turn because you killed one. So, Heinrich, what would you like to do? You can see Guntir now, all of a sudden, bruises beginning to emerge on his face as this kobold places his hands on him. Guntir is kind of bound. You can see there's a lot of focus on this dwarf.
Yep. I'm gonna Eldritch Blast first one on the kobold. Well, I think I'll just do all of them on the kobold since he's the only one that's done anything yet. First
Except for
one
grappling.
is a
That is the one
16.
grappling you, isn't it?
He's not. 16 hits.
Okay, so damage on that one
Getting-
is
Full
12.
Nelson while the bully
12.
Oh.
So you hold out your hand, the glyphs spin into life. This teal light emerges and kind of casts on your face. This Eldritch Blast fires out. It hits the kobold so Guntir, you see it's smiling blood coming from between the sharp teeth, and the whole body straight into the wall, down on the ground, dead.
there,
yeah.
like making the face at me with the body. Just...
Yeah, it like hangs for just a second before out and into the ground, into the wall. But he is dead. You have 2 more blasts.
Yeah, the other 2 are going on the one that tripped Shay.
Okay, so that is going to be.
So I don't want to hit
Taggart.
Guntir while he's being grappled, so.
Go for it, yeah, for sure.
Next one, holy shit, probably going to hit with a 27.
Yes, that certainly hits.
Okay, and that's for 8 damage.
Okay.
And then the last one. Okay, now we're testing the low boundaries here. Does an 11 hit?
It certainly does not. So,
Okay.
first one, you see the kobold fired to the side, dead. The second one, you fire, you can see the person who had just tripped Shay going for like another strike and actually turning his attention to Guntir. You fire, it blasts and kind of like jerks his arm back. The final one, as you fire, he's able to kind of see this one coming and spins out of the way. Anything else?
I'm assuming I'm just up against the golden gate.
Yes, unless you want to move.
No, I mean, it's kind of the best place to be for me.
Fantastic.
That corner.
That brings us back to the top of the round. Shay, what would you like to do? Guntir, you're on deck.
I want to jump back up to my feet.
You're still muted.
I am. I'm not now. Gonna jump back up to my feet.
Okay.
And-
So, yeah, easy enough. Shay, you pull your legs back and using just core strength, propel yourself up and land on your feet.
And then, is the one grappling Guntir behind me at this point?
Diagonally behind you, and then right behind you, there is the person who you know as Taggart, who looks just real bad. You can see the dead little kobold on the ground, and then everybody is within range of you. Everybody's within 5 feet.
Okay, the
All
one
3 of them.
who looks real bad is getting a hit.
Sure.
That's a dirty 20
Yeah, that hits.
for 9 damage.
Okay.
Still up, I imagine.
Yep. Yeah. So as you go forwards towards this one, you take your elbow and you bring it up. It hits him pretty much square in the chest. You can see him stumble back. Already there's like blood draining down into the hair, and that kind of leaves a bit of a trail on the ground as you do, but he's still up.
Second one for 24.
Yeah, that hits.
And he can make a Constitution saving throw. Why not?
Roll damage. For
Generous.
That's 13.
13. He cannot make a Constitution saving throw. As he stumbles back, the hair kind of moving, you see blood spatter behind him. He turns, begins to open his mouth, and you just punch him straight in the face. You feel the nose crumple beneath, and he drops to the ground. Anything else?
Last hit on the one that's grappling Guntir.
Okay.
Yay!
Hit him in the spleen.
I was gonna tickle him.
I can't math tonight. 18.
18. 18 just hits.
And he can make a Constitution saving
Come on.
throw.
Okay. Okay. Technically, you're supposed to roll damage first, just because it makes things a little bit more streamlined, but I imagine you will not kill him.
9.
That's going to be a 25.
Yeah, that makes it. It's 9 damage.
Yep. 9 damage. All right. So I'm going to say, Guntir, as this happens, you can see Shay doesn't quite get the strongest hit in, especially compared to, you just saw her like brutalize some guy's nose. But she's able to get a hit in enough that this monk has to let go to turn and adjust herself or himself. So, anything else, Shay?
That's it.
All right. That brings us to you, Guntir. What do you want to do? You can see there is this female, white hair, who's off just a little bit to your left, and then behind you, who had just been holding you, this human sort of like remnants of like brass armor on his shoulders, but mostly cloth.
And no longer grappling me.
You are no longer grappled.
Great. I am going to use my help action to try and feebly grapple him.
Okay, sure. So Guntir, you kind of like you put your arms around, they don't even encircle the entirety of this individual. It's like these like thin raisiny straws that are trying to hold on.
And I'm going to use my bonus action to stab him with my ankle dagger.
Okay, yeah, sure. Why not? So as you're kind of holding, you can see he kind of like adjusts himself, brushes your arms off, and then as he smiles, you just stab him with your little dagger. What is that to hit?
It is. Let me roll it. Ooh,
That helps.
That's an 18 to hit.
18 just hits.
Nice. And let's see how much.
See shock overtake his face as you do this.
Oh, actually, it does have a divine strike, so I do get a little more damage than that would be. Ooh, nice. Okay, so that's solid.
Divine ankle dagger.
This is gonna be some like, holy crap! 16.
What? From a fucking dagger?
I got.
So all of you watch as Guntir, after he's released, Shay, you especially being right next to him, can see he goes back and immediately lunges to try to grapple this other monk. The monk easily swats his hands away, smiles at Guntir, and Guntir, suddenly there's this tiny sliver of metal in your feeble old hand, but right into his chest. Shock takes his face. You can feel it like puncture something, and you pull it away. You see the muscle spasm. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Well done.
No one ever expects the ankle dagger.
No, apparently not.
No.
It's the first time in 2 years I've ever heard of one.
You can see like elements of the clothing still smoldering from the flame strike. He's looking pretty rough. Anything else?
I think that's it for me. I don't really want to
Okay.
move, right? Yeah, I don't want to move.
Morwen, what would you like to do?
Fairy creature.
I mean, I'm just gonna try to kill this
Okay,
guy
sure.
now.
You
So-
swing around to the side of Guntir with Lus in your hands.
All right, that is for
20, that hits. Yep,
30, 20.
that still
30,
hits.
20, yeah.
Regardless of how clean it is.
Oh, god damn it, it's a 6 again! Oh, what's happening?
You can see like smoldering. You can see now where Guntir pulls this tiny little shard of metal out of his chest. There is a surprising and concerning amount of blood. And as you leap forward, you just kind of nick him in the arm. But everything counts. What else are you doing?
I mean, I'm good at butts.
There you go. So kind of off balance, you swing with less of an actual strike, but you use butts significantly better typically.
Yeah, 15. So.
15. So Butts this time just kind of swings wide. He's doing everything in his power to maintain what little control he has, but you can see these bodies now all around him losing pretty rapidly.
Can I imagine I just like basically poked him. I was like,
and
I'm
just duck
done.
back out of sight. Fair enough.
I'm done.
That is your turn. It is now his turn. You can see the eyes darting around. He's going to burn a key point and cast Step of the Wind, disengage, and then pull back. You see, look up. Still like parts of the clothing falling off. It's in ruin around his chest. Guntir, you see just your handiwork leaves a dark crimson stain already in the purple fabric, but looks up, looks down at you, and then leaps out of sight.
Is he leaving my range? Can I get a hit in before he goes?
You Step of the Wind and disengage as his using key points. So you cannot.
Well, we're kind of out of stealth anyway.
So he's gone. Heinrich, what would you like to do? Shay, you're on deck.
Who's left?
Nobody.
Nobody. Can I?
You watch
run?
the last one just leap up and then disappear
Wasn't
into
there,
this sort of sky.
The white-haired one, still.
The white-haired one you guys killed. You've killed everybody but
That last one.
Taggart. Yeah.
So it's really
Can
just
I-
if we're chasing after this guy or not.
Can I just like run to the base of the hole and look up and see if I can see him?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. 15 feet of movement, you run to the base of the hole, you look up. You don't see him. You can hear the footsteps retreating in the direction of the aperture,
Right.
but you don't see him.
Okay. Turning to everyone else and be like, lost cause, ditch, go home.
Well, they know we're here if we get. I mean,
Yeah, they know this tunnel now too. We gotta get out of here.
so either we get out of the tunnel or we try to go through there.
I don't know how we can get past those bars, and don't think we have time to figure that out.
All right, let's go. I'm gonna like try to jump up to the.
It's like 11 or 12 feet up, so real difficult for you.
Are we
Not
going
working.
after him or are we
Uh,
leaving?
Well, he does say he tried.
I'm
Don't
gonna-
say
That's
he
fair, and you
succeeded.
I'm just gonna like grab Guntir by the arm and just pull him back to the house that we like entered in through. The
Okay,
whole
so as a
base of
group,
the
are you
house.
guys all retreating?
I'm gonna see if there's a
Oh.
quick scan. I mean, are they all wearing like ninth path monks, or I guess ninth path followers, if you will, right? They all
Sure.
have like their same uniform, right?
Not quite. So you can see.
Oh,
I mean, if you would like, you could take some. So, what are you guys doing? Are you running away? Or are you stopping now? Seeing as how Heinrich, you can no longer hear footsteps, I'm going to take you guys out of initiative.
Okay.
So,
I think I'm gonna hastily glance at the bodies to see if there is like a recognizable uniform or something that's salvageable.
okay. Go ahead and make an investigation check.
I am gonna go see about the bars and try to figure out a way to at least open them, for not to necessarily go in there, but to make them think that we went in there.
Gunter, first, can you close the hole?
No. What do you want? What?
Too
I
bad.
gotta open holes and I gotta close holes too. I'm supposed to do both now.
Fine. I'll go help Gunter check out these bars and see if we can disguise the way that we went. As
Okay.
in into.
Sure. So, first, Morwen, what is your investigation check?
3.
3. Okay. You see scattered across the ground these wooden prayer beads, some of them burnt. You can see there is off to the side, actually, that slid over in the corner. Somebody did have a scimitar. You can see most of them have various bits of ninth path clothing. They're different shades of purple, indicating some of them have been dyed recently. But with a 3, that's kind of all you get.
Well, if you guys are going to be looking at these bars, then I might take a little bit more time looking, i.e., Shay, do any of these uniforms look salvageable?
I had the same idea, actually.
Shay, make an investigation check, Shay. Gunter
Someone
and
who would
Heinrich.
recognize more.
You could either make an investigation check at advantage, or each of you make a separate one.
I don't think it mathematically makes a difference.
Yeah, I think we're both about the same. We're not too smart together.
Nice. So, unity.
I'll roll it then. I see you going over to look at them, and I'm like, hold on.
Gunter's eyes both drift in opposite directions, and you're like, yeah, maybe I should do this.
Oh, okay. You check that spot guidance.
Oh shit. Okay.
Sure.
Does the guidance apply once? You just roll the d4, or is it independent for both d20s?
That's
No, you only use it once. Wait, because you're rolling at advantage, right?
Right.
Is why you're doing it. So you only roll it once, and it applies to whichever one.
So whichever one's the higher. Okay, that's what
Yeah.
I thought. Just wanted to make
I
sure.
like the idea of rolling guidance at advantage, though. Super
Yeah,
guidance.
I'm not. Yeah.
So you upcast
I don't know,
guidance.
what that would do, yeah. All right. Okay, that one's good. Or no, first one. So 20 plus investigation, 25.
Hey!
Okay, so you can hear Morwen and Shay kind of moving around and looking at these bodies, but the two of you approach the bars. You can see. Oh, sorry.
Just, what's that thing?
And Gunter, as you point to this small gleam that you kind of see on the ground. Hard to see, especially with the sunlight taking the space,
So
but
bright.
just barely. You can see this low yellow gleam. Kind of difficult to spot. It's you kind of pointed out to Heinrich, and Heinrich, you look. As you look at it, it doesn't quite hold its shape to you. You see it move and shift as if through your feature of being able to read any language, it's trying to move, but it doesn't seem to quite be a language necessarily. You imagine something arcane. It does shimmer a little bit with Arcana, and looking at it, you imagine this is what was sourcing the weird magic associated with the bars themselves, vaguely like abjuration, but not quite. This is very old magic. You would imagine, with what you know about this place, this spell, this rune, has been here for several thousand years and probably predates magic as it exists currently.
Does it look like it's the source that's keeping the bars in place, basically, or like locking them?
Looking at it, you can see it's set up in such a way that it scrolls along the sides of the bars, and you would imagine, yes, probably this is what's keeping them in place, or at least, and you kind of look, and as you do, you begin to get the sense that it isn't just keeping them in place, it's reinforcing them in a certain way. And as you think about that, you get closer, you can almost hear this low through the bottom of it. There's like an energy. You would imagine, you don't want to destroy the ruin, or the rune. You would imagine, based on the power that you hear, that would have terrible consequences. It seems as if this is almost like a reinforced wall. And as you think about this, you can't help but imagine whatever it's protecting, probably pretty valuable.
Okay.
Well, how do we?
I got no ways of dispelling this kind of magic at all, and I don't even know Guntir.
With a 25,
Uh-huh.
I will also say, getting down really close, and even as you kind of breathe, little bits of this yellow glow drift into the air, almost like chalk. It's like it has some kind of a, almost not quite glitter, but it has something that has a sheen to it. And you're unsure of what it is, but whatever this magical system is that predates the magic that you know, you would imagine this chalk very, very important to it. In your mind, you sort of think about it as almost like their version of components. But yeah, that's what you know.
Okay, well.
Sure.
Fuck. I kind of want to decanter of endless water and try to wash it out.
I was thinking that.
Let's just go with that then.
All right. Do you need my help?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well.
Do you need your help pouring water?
Yeah,
That's
no, I think I'm
very
good.
condescending.
All right. So I'll just do gallon and just like
Okay.
try to
You
wash
take
it away,
the little-
like power pressure. I'll like put my thumb over the hole too and do that whole like hose spraying thing.
Sure. You take your thumb, you place it over the hole, and you whisper the word that would be gallon. This single gallon, which normally is just kind of like a fairly steady trickle, because of the pressure from your thumb, spurts out. You have to kind of like correct it a little bit because it's like a wide fan at first.
Yeah.
But as you hit it, it is technically magical water. And because of that, you would imagine, as the water hits, you can see the chalk shimmer in the lift. It doesn't get washed away. It almost lifts off as if floating as one. And for a brief moment, you see the completed rune. It is almost as if it reshapes fully in your mind for just a second. It's rune bracade. You don't know what that means. It doesn't mean anything immediately to you, but then the chalk seems to just dissolve. Suddenly that thrum fades, and these bars seem a lot less magical.
Okay.
Wow.
Can we move them out of the way?
Do you have any of that dynamite?
Yeah, and then we run the other way, right?
That's what I was thinking. Unless we
Yeah.
actually want to go in there.
I don't. I don't
Shay,
know.
which way should we go? It's your
I've never been here, Guntir.
mission.
Shay's busy. We're shopping.
Gunter, as your eyes drift up and you kind of point and you think that there could be something in there. Now, with a second to kind of look, you do see faint glows, a little bit off and hard to see. This darkness is substantial, and there is something weird to the space. You can see elements of wood floor, old wood floor, And as you shift your eyes and with the sunlight coming down behind you, you see ice. You can definitely see that there is a large chunk of ice that takes up part of the middle of the room or most of the room, and obscures a lot of what is behind it. You really just see facets that shimmer as you move back and forth. You don't really even see the ice itself.
I'm gonna squint real hard at it. What's it? What is that back there?
Make a perception check.
Ooh, 27.
Oh,
Gunter,
damn.
your eyes both normally wandering across your face focus for just an instant. 287 years of intensity through the darkness. You see this. It's almost as if like as Shay and Morwen are moving around and like moving the body, something reflects the sunlight, and you get just a beam for a second. In that instant, you see there is a huge, like a 7 foot tall, white marble, almost like a tub or a basin. And in that instant, as you see the light flash across it, it is marble, and you see drifting within it are clouds. They swirl slightly. Even as the light hits it, they're moving. This is certainly magical. And you see adrift on top of them elements of stone. With a 25, or what was it, 25 or 27?
27.
With a 27, in this brief instant, that flashes, and you saw the map that Heinrich made. That flashes in your mind, and they are identical. You are looking at a 3-dimensional map floating in a basin of clouds. You see the ice shooting up through the middle of it. Actually, when you look, so actually,
You gonna show the map that I see?
I am. Let me see. Did I take a picture of it like a smart person? I'm just going to scroll furiously. I did not. So, this is what you see. Vaguely, I'll take a picture and send it during the break. But you can see these broken hunks of stone. You immediately can recognize there are these circles drawn onto it. Those seem to match up with the iron rings. There are runes that you don't quite recognize or understand. They're not dwarven. That's not going to focus. They're not dwarven. You also see these stars floating in the air, and the one on the southern part of that map is exactly where that weird bubbling cloud sphere was. You'd imagine those symbolize these defensive things.
Wait a sec.
And then as you look, you can see within the ice that it seems to break it up. You see other hunks of floating rock frozen in the ice. And as that beam almost finishes passing for just a second, frozen behind that, you see a large eye. And then darkness.
A large eye in the room, not on the 3D map area.
It seems as if there is a creature, perhaps giant size, frozen in the ice that is erupting through this map.
Okay. Change of plans.
What is it?
There's a map room in there, and it has the whole area.
Okay, so go in. Okay.
Go in, see what's going on, because something's going on, like now.
Yeah.
And probably get the hell out of here.
All right. How do we get these gates open now without blowing it up?
I'm gonna try to
Make an athletics check.
Oh, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Hang on, actually. Let me look at the stats of this cage. Okay, so Gunter, you reach in, and as you, with your little hands, they don't actually close all the way around the bars. They are thick bars of a metal actually not familiar to you. Some, maybe there is iron within it, but some kind of an alloy. But as you pull, you hear the metal a little bit, and you can see just a fraction slide aside, but not quite enough. You kind of put your back and your shoulders, and you're able to stretch it a little bit more, not quite wide enough for you to get through.
Can you move the stone out of the way that it's anchored into, Gunter, so we can get through? I just don't want to blow anything up. I don't want to like.
Move stone. Everyone wants to move stone.
It's
It's a taxing thing, you know. It's like
Yeah, well,
shoveling a
if
bunch
not
of
now, then
stone.
when?
I think mechanically, I don't know if I can without using my last level 5 spell slot.
Level 5 shape stone. What is it? You could just move the whole of Yorn to a different location.
I don't
But just
even
but
does
use it to
anything.
move a pebble.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I'm reluctant to use that.
All right, fine. I'll just blast around the edges of like, I don't know. If I were to remove, say, like 2 of them on one side, would that be enough?
Yeah, if you could remove 2 bars, for sure.
That would be enough for us to get through. Okay, then I'll just try to aim at the.
Got any more of that dynamite?
I'm not using that now.
Oh, just give it to me. I'm gonna try to take some of the gunpowder out of the dynamite with my dagger, and then we can spark that.
Are you giving Gunter the dynamite?
No. That seems like a bad idea.
I'm not the boss. You guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna try to Eldritch Blast the base and ceiling of these.
You don't even need
Blasters.
to roll an attack roll. You hit the ceiling. Stone crumbles down. You see the bars extend. You imagine probably not worked. You fire the second one down. Like stone scatters across. There's a thin gap underneath.
Okay.
A couple more. You end up just eldritch digging your way through, and you create a small tunnel that you would imagine all of you could fit through.
Okay, can we quickly? It
All
seems
right.
kind of silly, but can we quickly just go in?
Yeah, I'm already scooting through like a little mole.
Meanwhile,
Okay,
And
so
I'll-
as you like blow the ground up and it like scatters away, Gunter's already worming his way down in. He actually gets through. You have to like stop digging it and wait for Gunter to finish before you can finish creating a space that you can get through.
Okay.
But no problem. It is a hole. It is going to take you probably like about not that long, actually about a minute. But just repeated eldritch blasts, you can see these glyphs spinning into life and dissipating, spinning into life, dissipating. The teal light casting a glow across your face. The antlers kind of catching elements of it. But you all scurry out into this larger space.
wait,
I'm running.
meanwhile,
Well, yeah, I
During
was gonna
this-
say after doing that, I'd look to them behind and be like, "Are you guys coming?"
Well, because during this time, I think we were.
Sorry,
Shay,
yes.
Unless you were still.
My fault. So,
No,
Shay,
that was a
what was your
15.
investigation?
15.
Huh?
15.
You look through, and you're more familiar with the style of clothing. You know where some of the pockets are. Because the Zinyi don't necessarily carry money, there isn't a ton of emphasis put on having them in like really secure places. The pockets are all very functional, and they're usually designed to fit something. So knowing this and kind of looking through, you can find a series of ceramic plates that seem kind of weird. You actually haven't seen anything like this before, but they bear a design similar to Zinni in some ways. You can see there are 2 sets of Ninth Path clothing, slightly charred. However, you would imagine a little bit of work could probably make them quite usable. They're sized for medium creatures. They probably wouldn't fit Gunter. You know what? With a little bit of work, they probably would. And then Shay, you
Take
get
the kobold
to
ones.
you get to the kobold. And you kind of look at Gunter, you look at the kobold. The kobold's too small, but as you bend down, suddenly you see these gleaming things. And as you look at the neck, there's something around it. It's quite charred, but you kind of
My stuff.
No.
you look down, you smudge an element of it with your thumb, and it is platinum. And you
Ooh.
move a little bit away, and it's a platinum necklace. You see 2 fairly good-sized rubies set within it. And then a smell kind of hits you, and you look into the breast pocket of this kobold's clothing, which this kobold clearly made. It's like falling apart as you manipulate it.
Mhm.
There's a tin that has been punctured and rent by part of the Eldritch Blast, and you can see it contained at one point pickled mushrooms that are now leaking onto the body. And that is what you find.
Gross. I'll take the necklace and hand it to Morwen.
Okay, pull it out over his head. Morwen, you can add a just one second. You can add a platinum necklace with 2 rubies. Each ruby is worth 100 pieces of gold.
And
The
then
necklace itself is worth about 250 pieces of gold.
I'm gonna take one of the sets of clothing.
Okay. You gingerly remove it from the. Looking at her now, I would say this is. You probably also know her, the one with the white hair. That is Majare Teal, who is a human who practiced the way of the key master, prematurely graying hair. That was the person that had those ceramic plates.
And actually, quickly while I'm doing this, I'll switch my orange and put on the purple and put the orange on her.
Okay. You remove the elements of orange vestments of the Zinyi and clothe this half-elf with them. You remove her clothes, you add them onto yourself. It's weird putting them on. They don't quite fit. Zinni clothing is set to fit and designed to fit, so this a little bit loose on you. And it does feel weird. It's a little bit rougher than the material that you're used to, but you put it on. You now wear purple and black. Anything else?
I'll mention to Morwen that there's another salvageable set if she wants it.
Yeah. I'm gonna size it up. Does it look like something that would fit me?
Yeah, with a little bit of work.
All right. Are these like tight fitting? Like, can I put it over my armor, or would I have to do under? Like, I can't. I've never even really pictured how thick my armor is to begin with, to be honest.
It's studded leather armor. So it has a thickness, you would imagine, like roughly quarter of an inch. Around the shoulders and the chest plate, a little bit thicker, closer to like half an inch.
It can also
But
change colors.
you also manipulate the appearance so much that it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. But you would imagine this would need to go under.
Okay, then I'll quickly do that, and then once my leather armor's on top, I'm just gonna tada it to blend in.
Okay, so you watch Morwen disrobe completely, as per usual, and then redress into the United Path clothing. The leather armor, stitching it back up. This does take some time, but doing that, you dress, ta-da, and suddenly it shifts and is now just purple and black.
And I'm obviously gonna stuff my red coat in my bag.
Okay, so you stow the red coat away. You can see, looking at Morwen now, wearing this, it's like a purple shirt that has like an attached back jacket part that goes down to the feet. There are copper buttons that line it, and you can see there are elements, not real copper, but copper threading that create a design around the neck part. The pants are just a very simple, almost like a faded black at one point, but now gray. Very simple kind of martial arts pants.
And I'm also gonna do like a air kick, or
Okay.
air punches.
Sure.
I'm in it.
You
I've
make a
got
couple
new
air
role.
punches. Shay, the clothing that you wear, very similar to what you had worn previously. The only real difference isn't there are sleeves because there isn't under kind of like a tunic to it. White sleeves, and then there is the tunic almost goes to like mid thigh. There is a more complex belt that has these rings of iron that kind of round it. Not especially decorative, but you would imagine you could like clip things to it. And then there are brown boots that go with that as well.
Okay.
So now, having dug through the bodies, do you make your way underneath this gate? It's worth noting the process of taking off your armor, redressing, and applying your armor. It's about 15 minutes. So if anybody wants to, you can go ahead. You're muted, Guntir.
As soon as I went through, I ran to the map room.
Okay. So, Morwen, as you start undressing, Gunter's already wedged his way in and is gone. Gunter, Heinrich, are you going with Gunter or are you going to wait?
No, I'm going to go with Gunter.
Okay. You turn, you look, you can see the rest of the party waiting, and you're just like, and just follow Gunter.
Yeah.
You emerge into this room. Now, as you approach Gunter and Heinrich, you can both see this large 7-foot tall tub. You can see the floating elements of rock that indicate Yorn. There are even small buildings, although simplistic and more symbolic. You don't see actual representations of the buildings you've seen. And it's huge. It looks like a spear of ice emerging from the ground out through the table. Although, worth noting, the table is not damaged within. You can see it frozen within. There are elements of rock, like a lot of the city itself is frozen within. And now that you get closer, Heinrich, you can actually see. Let me pull up Discord so I can see you guys. The complete map. And you would imagine that when complete, this is what Yorn looks like versus the current amount that you have seen.
Okay.
Most of Yorn is within this frozen bit. Make an intelligence check.
Hooray me. Oh, dirty 20. Hooray
Hooray
me.
you.
Holy shit.
You remembered, having just thought about it, the historical event called the Skyfall, or actually Guntir had just mentioned it. And thinking about this, you know already through traveling through the north and talking to Shay, there are parts of this city that have fallen over time to the ground. And looking at the map, you're realizing it's not just parts. Most of the city has fallen. What remains still this huge, it's a city for giants, this sprawling sort of subsections that are adrift on individual clouds. This is not most of the city. And as you begin to think about it, you're realizing the only parts that aren't drifting are the parts frozen within this space. Kind of unclear, and you remember there was talk of frost giants. There's something that is pulling at you about this. And then you realize if this ice, and this is magical ice, you can tell that without even being close, it hasn't melted. This has been here for a long time. It is very possible that whatever it is that created this ice, as it froze the elements of this map, it could be what caused a large portion of Yorn to fall originally. And you think of this term Skyfall. And there are parts of you that would imagine manipulating this map could have very real effects on the city around you.
I was thinking very much all of that.
And your eyes drift beyond that. You see a giant.
I was gonna say
very
that.
much like lurking over this thing.
Yeah.
You can see elements of the clothing. This is very unusual. You've only met two giants, and you've actually seen a third, the hill giant, or it was an Etten actually. But you've seen a few of them. Very simplistic clothing traditionally. This is almost like a cloud gray, and you can see there are textures across this fabric. It's at least 3 different kinds, almost toga-like in this kind of drifting, flowing way, although frozen within the ice. You can see. Make an insight check.
Dirty 20 again.
Okay, so the snow white robes are kind of open to the sides to reveal this gray, the cloud gray tunic. Around the neck, you see a bone pendant that has this pale blue 8-pointed star over a pale blue ring. You see his hand is outstretched, and now that your eyes have kind of adjusted to this dark, there is a shimmer within the ice. And as you turn your head, frozen within this ice itself, you see this crackling bolt of lightning frozen in time and space within the ice itself. Looking at it and kind of trying to get the angle, you would imagine it would indeed stripe the map should it be thought out.
Well, that's very dangerous. I don't like this at all. I'm glad we didn't blow it up.
So
I'm just going to...
Heinrich, worth noting for you,
Yeah?
because of your feature, you can actually read this map.
Oh.
Now that you have all the pieces and you look at it in the top corner, you can see it looks like it's a 4-letter word, and knowing this is called Yorn, it's almost as if that kicks something into mind. And you can read any parts of this that you want. You see a particular note to you. There is this a section that is called the Aperture, which is the northernmost part. That is the district that you are within. But a few things that kind of take your mind. You see one that is called the Amber. Sorry, I have to find it. I did a lot of prep this week. The Amber Dawn. And looking at it, there is this very intricate carving within the actual piece in the ice itself of what looks like not dissimilar from the ship that you saw within the Astral Sea. You see also worth note. I mean, there's a lot of things, and I'll send it to you over the break. But you can kind of translate each element of this, and you can see laid out before you Yorn.
Okay. Does any of it? I mean specifically that ship, because now I'm thinking, cool, means of escape. Is that on a place that was missing from when we were traveling around and actually getting a look at what was physically there?
It is. So looking at this map, you emerged up these stairs and onto something called Cradle Crest. That is the southernmost path and the most intact one. There was what is labeled as the market in front of that. There's elements of that you got to that then you passed on a ring. Missing from that map and encased in ice, there is a section called the Crossings. There's a section called. There's a section that is called the Lectern. There is a section that is called Floatstone. All of those are missing. The thing that you were talking about, I'm sorry, it's called the Amber Bask. It's the ship. It's attached to two other sections that are not there. One called Apart and one called Dazzle Walk. Beneath that, not connected, but it's called Flowers in Air. And then on the western side, the extreme western portion is labeled as Trug's Leap. The section to the right of that is Civility, and the section beneath that is Together. All of those, which compose almost 40% of the map, encased in ice and not floating outside.
Oh boy.
All right, what do we do here? What's going on?
I think I'm just gonna try something. But whatever we do, we can't let that. And I point at the lightning bolt. Touch this. In fact,
you follow Heinrich's point, and it goes from this shimmering, frozen lightning bolt, which seems poised to strike the map.
So let me tell you what I think is going on here in a real quick rundown. This guy was here during that war that you mentioned and was trying to bring the whole city down, and someone had to stop him. Yeah. And someone stopped that happening by freezing both it and the map. And everything that's frozen in the map is missing, so I'm going to try to thaw part of the map out and see what happens.
Okay,
so but don't thaw that guy out.
No, that's what I'm saying. And if you can, while I'm doing this, see if you can, tip the guy away, maybe. Just point his arm.
What if we just try to, I'm gonna, how far away and how large a scale is this giant on this map? How, relative to my size, is the giant,
This giant looks like he would stand. Or... No. I think you misunderstand. This is a real giant that is in the room behind the map, frozen within this large block that dominates the space. Okay. It is a real giant that is frozen. It looks as if the lightning bolt leaving the hand.
Right.
Oh, so
itself was here.
The lightning bolt is not on the map either.
No. This is a person who was trying to attack the map and got frozen while he was attacking the map.
And certainly, Heinrich, as you think about this, the clothing that he is wearing underneath that snow white robe that is drifting, that tunic, very similar to the one of the giant that was trying to claw out of the cage.
Right. These were people who were attacking and basically sieging the city, and so
the cogs are turning now. Okay, Guntir's like, oh.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So we basically walked into a failed attempt at bringing the city down by whoever was attacking it in the past.
Okay. So
just don't let it thaw. So stand in between it and the map
while I try this out. They're trying to do. I'm gonna think what are they trying to do up here?
I think this is just a fortuitous thing that they don't know about.
Okay,
this
so
has nothing to do with them. This is ancient.
And Heinrich, as you say that and you look around, looking for anything else, there is the only other way into this room, and the only way that looks like it was naturally meant for this room, because the cage itself is encased within the stone. It looks as if it's designed to drop down should somebody tunnel in. Right. This room is very secure. The only door in is a bank vault door, 20 feet across. You can see it's circular, and around it there are gears, cogs, and metal levers that you'd imagine have a complex motion to unlock this door. Unfortunately, this entire door is buckled inward in such a way that most of those bars, gears, and cogs are warped and twisted and bent. It would be probably impossible to open it through normal means. But you also know, given its state, nobody has accessed it from the outside.
Right. This is a boon to us right now. If we can maybe
That's why I was saying.
distraction.
I feel like,
You were saying distraction earlier, Guntir. This is your distraction. We somehow mess with the city, and they go to check it out.
you
So
know,
I'm going to try and melt part of the ice. I don't know. It's like near the entrance where we came in, so like far
So
away
the
from
parts
us.
that you could melt that are currently in the ice closest to the entrance, Cradle Crest,
Yeah.
the part labeled together on the
Mhm.
southwest side,
Mhm.
Market, which is immediately north of Cradle Crest, and
Mhm.
Flowers and Air, which is to the right or the east of Cradle Crest.
Yeah, that'll be the one that I do, because that's, in my mind, the farthest that we are from, like, where we are and the farthest point that I could affect, potentially. That's the farthest
So,
one.
what are you doing to melt it?
I'm going to concentrate as best as I can, create a bonfire
Okay.
without touching, like, basically without... Is it possible,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
of the size of it, to just get that part and not get the giant?
We're gonna find out. Go ahead and make a performance check for me. Given where the giant is, you're no threat of thawing the giant.
Perfect.
A little closer to the bolt of lightning.
Well, that's
I'm
kind
gonna be
of...
like, okay,
That's
just
above. So
Yeah.
you just need to be real careful.
be real careful. I'm gonna like pat you on the shoulder, guidance.
Okay. Okay. This is performance, you said?
Yes.
Okay. With guidance, it's a 12.
Okay. So, Gunter, you tap Heinrich on the shoulder and you feel that leap of energy cast through. And Heinrich, as you cast, this is create bonfire?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Takes up only a 5-foot space. I'm trying
Yep.
to,
I'm
you know.
like,
It appears, and as it flares into life, you see these teal glyphs, almost like the elements of fire that should be crackling off the top, kind of pop away from the flame. It is only a 5-foot space, and it's not hard. This is a very large map.
Yep.
But you concentrate in, and it kind of appears within the ice and immediately begins to melt. There's a crack within the ice itself before the pressure of the instant heat and the cold mixing within
Mhm.
bursts the ice forth.
Mhm.
The section within is about half cleared away, but you see the stone that is floating badly charred.
Mhm.
Nothing seems to happen.
We don't hear anything. That's
See?
the only reaction that I see.
you think it did anything?
Well, I don't know. Let's try some.
Make a perception check.
Okay, yeah. I want to inspect what I just did. And also check back at the lightning bolt, see if that's okay. Or the
There's about 2 inches of ice between the lightning bolt and the thin, very shiny, dripping part of the ice that you'd imagine that 10 would not have been good for you.
That was another
Okay, good.
27.
Okay. Gunter, you close your eyes and you listen. Heinrich, are you making a perception check?
Yeah, it was a 14.
Okay. Heinrich, you don't hear much. You hear through the hole distantly out that the monk leapt up through, you hear bits of wind. Ah, okay.
I forgot
You
that I
hear
leveled up.
bits of wind and
Wow.
probably, you hear a bird maybe. But that's kind of it. Although, weirdly, you hear the bird, you hear a variety of birds. It's just almost like a sort of sudden flurry of activity. Gunter, you hear distantly in the direction of the entrance this echo, and it's quiet. But given how far away you're hearing it from, you would imagine it was a loud noise. And suddenly, for all of you, you see just little bits of debris fall from the ceiling.
I think it did something.
Okay, good.
Okay, so why don't we just like blow up all the parts on the map where the 9 paths are right now?
Unfortunately, that's where we are too.
Okay, so
And that's also where your stuff is.
I'm also gonna show up at this point and be like, who called for the 9th path?
And you see Morwen bedecked in purple. Oh,
I don't.
bedecked in purple and black, and doing monk business.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Shay, you taught her well.
Yes.
All right. One of us needs to watch the door.
That's
So-
what I've gone underneath the gate, but I am standing like at the gate listening out. And
I got you.
watching.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm embracing my new role.
You're just
Shay, you being
crawling
that
Get
around.
off of me! Stop it!
Shay, you being that close to the gate and close to that hole, in the distance you hear an echoing sound like stone on stone before that and all those kind of little pebbles rain down. Shay, as you think about that, you've grown up in the north. You've traveled not to the Giant Step. The Giant Step is pretty well avoided. But across the area below, the Valley of Yagor to the south, and you've definitely been to the Frost Line to the east. But you're aware of these tall pillars of stone that dot the landscape that the mystics use both to travel and to meditate.
Mhm.
And in your mind, there is this image of a platform of stone rising up one of them. Because in that direction, you know there is one.
Mhm.
And as your mind begins to pull this together and you look over at the map, those pillars seem to almost form what would be Yorn, should there be other platforms of stone attached to them. And you've seen before, there are wreckages and elements of this city that poke out through the snow in places. You would imagine that should Heinrich continue, it will drastically alter the landscape of the north. And already thinking about the size of that space, Flowers and Air is a space roughly the size of the southern half of Squall's End. And thinking about where it is drifting over, the bone meadow that you guys passed through is probably missing a substantial section. And now that you're thinking about it, you remember those piles of weirdly decayed stones, almost like stacks. There are elements that are very similar to the rock bits that you've seen around Yorn.
I'm gonna keep that to myself for the moment.
Okay. Shit. I really want to. If we had what we were here for, this would be the perfect time to set up a delayed detonation and just get the fuck out. But that is not the situation. It's the opposite way around.
Yep.
So I'm hoping, and the reason why I did that far apart is that someone or many have gone to investigate what the fuck just happened.
You hope.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only other thing I can think of is if we pull up this part that has a ship, that we just do a mad dash for the whole thing,
We're going
and
to
then
need
get
to
off.
do something because even if some disturbances happen, the fact that one got away from us, they will still send someone to come check.
Right, and then they'll find this, and then they'll have it too.
Yes.
Which is
Plus, we still have to come and deal with all the stuff that we're already dealing with.
So we either need to create a large enough disturbance that they can't spare the manpower for us at the moment, or we have to destroy it altogether.
So, Heinrich, you got that dynamite?
we're not gonna blow the whole thing up while we're on it. That's
Just a couple pieces.
Why don't we? Oh my god.
Shay, you kind of look back over towards the hole and the sunlight coming through, and ever so slightly the hue is a little darker, and you are aware the time is passing.
All right. Well, let's.
We need to make a decision, whatever it is.
Why don't we just bring the whole city up, and then bring it all down later?
Is that a thing we can do?
Well, if we destroy it after we thaw it.
Shay, make an intelligence check.
I mean, look at what this guy was trying to do.
Yeah, he was trying to hit it.
Yeah,
What's
to destroy it.
13?
How about
13. You think about this. Heinrich says we should just raise up the whole city. And thinking about the size of the space that he just lifted up, it's hard for you because your way of thinking about the north is skewed by the fact that it's fairly easy for you to traverse in familiar terrain. It's that familiar thing where when you're traveling home, it seems like it's a lot quicker because you know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the map and trying to kind of position it over where you are, you would imagine the city of Yorn would be almost the entirety of the Valley of Yagor, the Forest of Owls, the northeastern section of the Bone Meadow. An entire stretch of the River of Colors will be lifted with this. The mountains roughly 3 miles south of Mount Yishi are underneath or will probably be affected. And thinking about it now, I mean, there are elements of those mountains that you know crumble in slightly weird ways that were always attributed to the events that led to the sort of shrine above the tallest mountain in that range that Mount Yishi is part of. But thinking about it now, it's very likely that at some point something collapsed there and would be brought back up. Unclear as to
bring up some chaos.
If you do this, you are going to reshape the entire face of the north.
I mean, that's as the only resident. Are you okay with that? I'm thinking more like, is this something that will drag up like denizens of the wilderness that will just cause havoc and distract?
I think it's gonna. I don't think you're grasping the scale of this.
This map is larger than Port Quinn.
Yeah.
It's larger than any city that you have all been to. This is roughly the size Guntir, a little smaller than Nocturne.
Yeah, this is. What you're saying is move an entire city. That's gonna have. We're here to do things that are pretty much the opposite of that. I'm pretty sure, right, Shay? I mean, it's again.
Why you want to move it?
Yeah. What do you?
I want everyone in the building directly above us to get the fuck out of it, so we can go in there to get the stuff that was stolen from
By
you
killing everyone below us?
I don't know about killing everyone.
Actually,
if it's mostly
empty,
empty area, and you know.
What about? You just saw
See,
gambling.
I really appreciate your big picture here, but I don't think we have to go that big.
Okay, well then let's do another section, and hopefully that's enough.
And changes.
Where's the River of Colors?
How'd you do
what I know?
Across the map?
Yeah.
How do we have to destroy it?
Looking at the map, the River of Colors would go across the part called. I took a picture of this city with all the English on it, but I did it in my handwriting's not very good. The section called Floatstone. It would cross a little bit of Civility, primarily diagonally through Floatstone, and then it would swirl up through a part and Dazzle Walk. All of those will disrupt part of the River of Colors.
I would point it out.
Okay, wait. I can't believe that I'm the one who has to be the voice of reason.
And you're thinking
here.
like the River of Colors, it feeds the Lorebinder Academy. It was fed through Nanook, and it will drastically reshape the entirety of the north of Dominion. Should this function the way that you think?
What? We are here.
So then, what is your suggestion? Do we just leave this?
No, I'm just saying, you're thinking like, oh, we gotta either lift it up or throw it down. Why can't we do something in the middle? Like, what if we just start like a little baby fire on like exactly where the other people are on the map?
Where the other people are is where we are, Guntir.
Yeah, Guntir, you're not grasping that. They're all directly above us.
Wait, but we're underground.
They're not right above us. Yeah.
Will we be safe?
That's what I'm
could we
saying.
start it on top of us and just
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe we'll take a nap and then when we
Plus,
wake up,
like
undergrounded on top. I don't know if you grasp what's actually going on.
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Why do we have to take a whole section and do something to it?
And it's worth noting too, when you saw the bits of rubble fall down, there were little bits that hit the islands of Yorn in this map. The building wasn't suddenly crushed.
Exactly.
So you're getting the sense that the islands do control upwards and downwards movement, but they don't necessarily. It's not one-to-one. Like you'll put your thumb down and a giant
thumb will
crush.
This isn't a god map. This is literally just the support structure engine map of the place.
very soft.
Right, but
Going in for a boop.
What you're
It's
saying,
more like a
what you're
control
attempting, yeah, what you're attempting to do is not possible with this thing. It's
It
either
is either
we
up or down, and we
retrieve
either...
the things that have fallen or knock things down.
Yes.
That's it. It's the only two options
There
here.
is
So
no
I'm
middle.
saying
what happens if you freeze one?
it'll fall down probably, or slowly, or something. Or if you just destroy it, maybe even, I don't know. I'm guessing, again, going back to the whole lightning bolt above your shoulder there, that's what he was trying to do, is bring the whole thing down.
I'm going to
Wait,
look
so-
up, and the ice is still kind of just drips a little bit down onto you.
So question, just because, again, I'm not grasping anything. So I'm going to try to grasp a little something. So you can't determine if it happens above or below?
There's no above or below.
Well,
Of course
that's
there is.
above,
There's
that's
above and
below.
there's below. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
Either
what?
lifting
You're-
the city up to where it was, or you're bringing it down to the ground.
Think of it this way, right? You got these 4 pieces of a city.
And
If
we
you
need to make a
freeze
decision.
this
Okay,
one,
we
then
don't
it
need a
falls
geography
down
lesson right now. We need a
with
plan.
everything on it, as in us, if that is the piece that we're standing on. It's a map of the whole place that is either kept aloft or comes crashing down.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna.
You should
step
probably
away
go
from
and
this
just-
one.
yeah,
I'm
just-
gonna go practice my monkey stuff.
All right.
Have fun. I'm gonna go on the other side of the fence now,
Okay, so you go scurry underneath the hole and up on the other side.
and I'm gonna just, with all the bodies on the ground, I'm just gonna be like,
All
I'm
right.
practicing.
You guys hear the dull thuds of Morwen punching dead bodies.
That's a weird way to be a scout. Okay.
I'm not scouting. I'm practicing.
Sure. All right. I'm gonna thaw off a part on the opposite end. You said the together was the southwest part.
The together is the southwest portion, yes, and it would connect to the entire western part of Cradle Crest, where you guys entered.
Okay. Shay, where would this be above as I point at it, or below? What would this fuck up down on the surface of the planet?
With a 13 shed, kind of tough to say. You know it's within a mountain range, but kind of tough to say what part of it.
Well, look.
I'm trying to do as much.
I just don't
distraction-
think this is.
Guntir,
Oh.
no.
I'm just, well, I'll wait because I'm doing.
Why
my
don't
own
you go
thing.
get your stuff and I'll wait here, and when you've gotten your stuff, I'll destroy it and we can all fall down together.
Yeah, that's what you'd want me to do.
We'd be waiting here forever. He wouldn't come back.
There's a lot of potential to use this, but we don't have
Yeah,
time.
there's a lot of potential to use that, and also to get a bunch of people and stuff messed up.
We need to create enough of a
Stuff
distraction that
still
we can
keeps
get
coming
ahead.
up.
If we're trying to do something about the situation here,
Guntir,
this is the opposite of what we
Gunter.
should do.
No.
go keep watch, please.
I'm not leaving until we get this figured out.
I'm gonna start thawing another piece. I'm actually gonna thaw the piece that had the ship area on it.
Okay.
Don't bring up everything, but just enough to
No, I
cause enough
know.
of a distraction.
Exactly. A lot of diversion, and then this is the last piece, and then we basically retreat, run away, and see if there's a way to disguise this area again, because like I don't want that.
Why are we gonna change it and then run away? Are we gonna go and stop them or not?
Yeah, this is a diversion, Guntir. This is all this is.
And so you didn't want to do a diversion, but you
I
wanted
already
to do
told you
an
before.
entire world-changing diversion.
Ugh.
Change is hard to accept, Guntir, but it will be okay.
I'm
It's
all
just
about change. I
it's
was
just
the one
the-
who caused. I said diversion, and you said no, no, no. And now you're saying, oh, we're gonna cause a diversion by causing a city to fall.
to rise, and that's actually way better than any diversion that's directly affecting
Gonna go
one of
keep
us.
watch.
It's fine. I'm gonna try to like thaw off just the part of where that ship was. If it does that connect to where we are?
No.
No?
It connects. This is the smallest section.
Mhm.
The amber bask is connected to a part, and that's it. It's not connected to anything else. So
Okay.
you'd imagine pulling it up, it would be adrift in the sky by itself.
Does it
by
ring
a
on
pretty
it?
good distance.
Can I find where how
Of
like
all
how
of
we
the
would get to it?
sections, this is
Yeah.
the only one that does not have a ring.
Oh, so it's like even harder to get to. Okay. Well, I'll do that anyways.
Okay. Make a performance check.
Okay.
Hold out your hand. You steady it. The glyphs begin to spin into life.
Okay. That's not good. 7.
Okay. This bonfire flares into life a little brighter than you meant for it to. And you see the ice instantly splinter and burst out. Steam filling the room. As it swirls around and it's appeared, you no longer see.
My eye on the lightning bolt. By the
This
way.
is far enough away from the lightning bolt that it's not going to affect it.
Oh, well then, okay,
because this is like across the city.
Yeah.
The lightning bolt is floating directly above the two sections that are called Trug's Leap and Civility.
Oh, good. Okay. I wasn't going to bring them up anyways.
Great. Never bring up Civility, the finger gang. So
Never.
You can see the section called Amberbask kind of slowly lose altitude and then drop beneath the clouds. You see elements of flame still licking up between the clouds around, swirling at this place slightly, and then the flame dies down. And you hear a little but you would imagine that's not coming back up.
Okay, that's fine. I have another idea then. I'm going to cast Create Bonfire in the corner and pull out a torch and see if I can catch the magical fire onto it. Is that even possible?
What? Sorry,
is it possible
is
it possible to like get magic fire on a torch so I can like it?
So looking at the spell, you would imagine you could probably attempt to cast it on the tip of a torch. It's not going to, well, it will ignite the torch. You could certainly try.
I would like to try so that I'm not just like fucking willy-nilly bonfiring a detail work kind of thing.
Make a performance check at advantage. You take the torch, you hold it out in front of you, and you cast bonfire directly in front of you on the top of the torch.
Okay.
This is about kind of how well you're able to get it to stay.
Yeah.
Because you're basically you're balancing a plate on a stick right now.
Yeah.
But the plate is fire.
The plate is fire. Okay. All right. The first one was much better. Because you said advantage, right?
Yes.
Okay. That is 22.
22. So, Ringling Brothers, you have this torch out and you are balancing the fire. For all of you watching, you can see the bonfire from the bottom. It almost seems like a bowling pin, and it just slightly moves, and you see flames drifting off and then kind of moving away. And it is a little unsteady, but it is balanced on this torch. Slowly, you can see the torch begins to catch, and then for a bit, there's just a real fire, and then this magical bonfire.
Okay.
It blazes to life, and it is brightly lit within the space.
Okay. Perfect. Can I bring up the space that's directly adjacent to, the aperture that we're on?
Sure. The part directly adjacent to the aperture.
Not on our side, but the opposite side, so the eastern side.
So the eastern side is the Dazzle Walk. The one connected directly to the aperture is south of you. You would passed over it. Morwen you all floated over it in a cloud. We have a lovely image from Talon's daughter of Morwen drifting over it in a cloud. But that large gap is what will be partially filled by this coming up. It connects directly to the south of the aperture where you all are lit on that ring. So you are going to connect that ring to what it was meant to be connected to.
Okay, let's do that, because that's enough of a distraction and big area that I think I'm done fucking with this, and we can sneak around and try to stealth in, maybe.
Okay, so you're gonna bring that up?
Yeah.
Okay. So Heinrich, balancing this bonfire on this torch, you bring it down underneath the map. Floatstone is directly next to Civility, and this is quite close. However, now that you're balancing it and have much more control, I'm not even going to make you roll for it. You guide this fire, and you have to keep shifting your hand to keep it balanced on top. But gently, you melt this. You don't cast the fire with it; it doesn't burst out. You let it kind of. You all hear just as the ice begins to melt, and then it begins to run away. It takes a minute, but slowly the stone emerges from the ice, slick and wet from the melting water that's now dripping off and falling beneath the clouds. And as you do that, directly past you, and you remember walking across the giant step, there was a section that dropped down and through the clouds. Directly where that is, you can hear and feel this vibration. Suddenly it begins low and you feel it in your feet, this kind of shaking, and slowly you're able to start to hear this before all of a sudden bits of rubble are raining down around you. You see parts now falling off of the map.
The fire's out now, so I don't like shake it and fuck things up.
Magical fire dissipates, but there is still a lit torch in your hand.
That's fine.
But as this happens, it suddenly reaches a point where it's a crescendo. It's in your ears. You could first hear things rattling, but now it's just stone on stone. And then there is a and all of a sudden, elements of the ceiling begin to collapse in. But because it is 10 o'clock, that is where we're going to take our break. So it is 10:06. We are going to return at, we'll say, 10:16, so 10 minutes. Stick around and see what happens, because this is getting very interesting.
This is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Bye!
And howdy, folks. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. I want to take this opportunity to thank Sumiwa, who has been subscribed to us now for an entire year, which is crazy. Subscriptions are super helpful to us because it's a predictable source of income, which means it's easy to allot that money and use it for things for the campaign. If you follow us on Instagram or our website or our Twitter or any of the things that are Alberon RPG, or go to alberonrpg.com, you will see there is a large variety of art, and we have currently for the campaign 16 Hero Forge miniatures, of which you've only seen, I believe, 7. There are, there's lighting and microphones and all the equipment. The subscriptions really help. It helps any way that you can kind of get the word out about Adventures in Alberon. But the people who come in every week, Talon, Isumiwa, Das, like all of you guys, it's always great to see you, and it's super motivating for running a campaign this long, because a lot of work goes into Adventures in Alberon, and not all of it gets used. So for those of you who are just joining us, and we'll jump back into our game, Finger Gang, you guys were able to fend off an attack from the Ninth Path, drawn to you from the noise created by Guntir shaping stone. You engage them in battle with Guntir, your fire strike dealing a tremendous amount of damage, but also Shay just brutalizing one person for early on. You were able to defeat them. Morwen, Shay, you took some of their clothes and are now garbed as members of the Ninth Path. You made your way after Heinrich disenchanted the ancient wall that had stood for thousands of years using just a spurt of water. You managed to dig beneath and enter the veritable control room of Yorn. You found elements of the map frozen in a huge spire of magical ice, along with a giant who had seemed to be attacking the map. You see the lightning bolt frozen in the ice. You did a variety of things, Morwen, you practicing some monk moves with your newfound clothing in the background. Heinrich, you cast Create Bonfire and brought up elements of this map. You found that by melting the ice, it seemed from the reaction that you could distantly hear. You brought up distant sections first, and so hard to tell, but as you brought up the section directly connected to the one that you were on, you first heard the low vibrations and then felt in your feet this ascending element of stone before it seemed to almost deafen you, and then with rocks falling down. I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw.
For the record, I had already been ducking and covering.
Okay, great. Recorded.
Dex 22. Holy shit.
Okay, not bad.
19.
19, fantastic.
23.
Awesome.
7.
Okay, so bits of stone begin to rain down. You hear ice splintering. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to break. However, you can see elements of the stone basin kind of damaged. Shay, you leap out of the way of a large chunk of stone that falls. Heinrich, you, for the most part, with this torch kind of holding it aloft, you bat a small section out of the way and then have to duck. You feel the antlers being pelted with elements as they fall. Morwen, you're kind of far away from this, and so you pause mid-punch as you practice it and look over as a large part of the chamber just splinters down, and you watch Guntir, who is standing closest to you, crushed. Guntir, you are going to take 25 points of bludgeoning damage.
Criminy!
As this huge section of stone falls from the ceiling and strikes you. Everything goes dark. It is a crushing sensation. You feel bones pop. You feel your muscles compressed into your lungs. The air is driven from your lungs, and it feels for a second as if you're suffocating. In the panic, as the adrenaline takes over, you're able to push yourself up this large section of stone, larger than you, probably about the size of that axe that you struggled to lift before, just slides and to the ground. You still hear elements falling down. Looking up, there is no hole, but there are chunks missing from the ceiling.
So am I crushed under a rock right now, basically?
Not currently. You are prone. You've shifted the rock.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
just kind of
yeah,
like pancake on the ground.
Essentially.
I'm gonna rush over to Guntir. So sorry. I'm healing lighting him. I'm just going to anyways.
You hold your hand, and up your arm, it's like a sleeve, almost like a sleeve tattoo of celestial glyphs, ignites and spreads to Guntir. And Guntir, you feel healing spread throughout your body. You feel the bones kind of pop back into place. You feel breath drawn into your lungs. A little bit better.
14 better.
A little bit better.
A little bit better. Not the best roll, but hey, that's what dice do.
Yeah, it's true.
Still better than
So let's get going. This is our distraction that you were looking for way earlier. This is the best one I could think of.
I got a better one.
Guntir pries himself off the ground, bits of stone falling off him to the ground. Elements are still kind of falling down. The shaking is not stopping. It's almost as if this entire platform not gently, is just rocking up and down slightly. And every time it does, more stone falls. It bobs, and you can see stones fall down. And then as the momentum shifts, you can actually feel your stomach drop a little bit. And it does this back and forth for about 10 seconds before you seem to kind of notice it stop. Elements still down. What do you guys want to do?
Now's the time to
go free all those people.
Rush in, get everything that we need to take care of as fast as we can and get out.
Kind of jump up and like elbow latch on the top of that hole and just kind of get a look around for a second.
Okay, sure. So, Shay, you slide underneath the bars and kind of leap up. You catch yourself with your elbows. I would say, just for giggles, why don't you go ahead and make an acrobatics check? It's
a 28.
Yeah, no problem. You tend your legs down, and for a second, as the cloth of this purple garb flutters a little bit, elements of the stone kind of drift up and then up straight through. You clear it by a solid foot before kind of landing back down, catching yourself with your elbows. Looking out, the landscape has shifted fairly dramatically. Are you looking towards the aperture or towards the part that presumably Heinrich just raised?
Yes, trying to get a sense of movement, where people are moving, if possible.
Yes wasn't really an answer to that question. Are you looking north or south?
North.
Yes.
North. You look at the aperture. This huge building of glass, and you see elements of the glass are cracked. There are panes that have completely shattered inwards, one of them facing you. You now have a very clear view into this. You see a wooden platform has been hastily erected. You see maybe 50 feet of the actual wood before it disappears into the part that is covered by marble. Atop that, you can see on all fours, clinging to it. From behind, hard to tell, just the sort of leather armor. You can see elements of it are purple, elements of it are kind of a strange tan. This is still probably about 120, 200 feet away and then up. Mm-hmm. However, as he stands, the back of the head, this sort of orange, reddish, sort of ruddy skin of a mountain elf, absolutely, that is Jarux, although he stands even straighter than he had when you had last seen him. You can see he suddenly seems to look around. You don't quite see his eyes. But then he bends down. You can see hastily beginning to work on something. You hear shouts from within this building. You hear groans. You hear a variety of things. You hear, now that you really listen for just a second, maybe crying. In this instant, it's hard to tell exactly. And then you hear the sound of a window shatter inwards. And you recognize there are elements of this metal, this thin kind of silvery metal, that are like slightly warped with this impact. The building is slightly damaged.
Okay. Is there a good sense of what the best direction is toward where we saw the stuff the last time. If that's a good...
The stuff?
The people chained up and everything?
No.
So that...
I can't think of the word.
I can't help them.
What, like the place that was just raised?
Maybe.
No.
The houses?
Never mind.
Okay.
It's not important.
You drop down. Are you relaying all of that? Or do you want to turn and see the part that Heinrich just rose up?
I'll turn and look at the part that Heinrich raised. Why not?
You turn. You remember that light just kind of casting down, was starting to edge towards yellows of sunset. And as you turn, it's just shadow. Because in front of you, where there was just cloud and sky, there is, and still elements, some as big as boulders, and then falling off the edge. There is half of essentially a mountain. You can see recently shorn. There are parts like snow that is drifting and kind of falling now off of it. You could see parts that were at one point frozen rivers, perhaps underneath the snow, shattered, where parts have fallen away. And rising through the snow and the rock, you can see elements of white marble that have been buried for centuries, if not millennia. This mountain kind of drifts down, and you can see it spans the better part of like half a mile in total, and then drifts and falls back, and you can see elements kind of falling off the edges to the east and west.
Anything that I directly recognize from below?
Make a perception check.
That's a 28.
28. Not from this campaign. However, given the fact that you've spent a lot of time here, you see elements of a one of those stone pillars, not one that you've passed during the course of this campaign, but at some point probably in your travels. Given it's one of 3 that dot the Valley of Yagor, part of that valley is now up in a drift. This is one of the mountains probably on the eastern side.
Okay.
So, thinking about that, you've created a direct line between the Lorebinder Academy and the Frost Line. Separated by a tremendous amount of land, but you've removed the mountain range between them.
Yay. Okay.
The mountain that made you choose between the Frost Line and then going through the Bone Meadow no longer exists.
Excellent.
Well, that's convenient.
I'll drop back down and relay all of this.
Okay.
Well, shit.
And how did that help at all, Heinrich?
Because I'm sure they're gonna go investigate it, and then there'll be fewer guards and stuff.
It's right there!
Based on what Shay said, nobody has left to investigate this. There is that flurry of activity from Juruxa. You heard voices. Whatever was happening within the aperture is certainly happening at a more frantic rate, but they don't seem to be leaving to investigate.
Well, then they're still distracted in some regard. Should I bring up another piece and maybe bring that building down?
No. I think we need to face this head on. They're obviously trying to do something. We gotta either stop them or get the hell out of here.
Good.
I agree. I don't think any more of this
Let's go then.
shifting is going to make a difference.
So we're just gonna waltz right up to them.
No, sneak around the back or something. There can't just be one main entrance.
But they already know we're here.
Yeah, but they don't know where we will exactly be.
Also, maybe Shay and I can get a little further than you guys. Flaunting
I don't know
my
if we have the
costume.
time to do that. They're clearly trying to do something.
Let's go.
The longer we hesitate and the longer we sneak around, the closer they are to finishing whatever they're doing.
Well, I don't think rushing straight in you would even get close to the building. So let's go a wide arc as stealthy as we can.
Come on, Guntir. Stealthy's your middle name.
My instincts are telling me that this is a bad call.
So would you like to
So
leave?
what would you do?
I think that we need a more direct diversion towards the people that we're trying to deal with.
Such
Like
as?
what?
We know Jarux is right there. Why don't we do something about that?
What's the something? Suggest it.
I don't know. Hit him with a rock from over here. We gotta do something.
That's spitting in the wind, my friend. I think we need to at least make directions. So let's think about it as we go.
If you can't, then there's no other option, and we just go for it.
I could bring down the aperture, but that's part of the island would bring us down with it too. Or I plant dynamite and we run. We run to the part that I just brought up and blow up the part that they're on. But that would kill a lot of what sounds like innocence and also destroy or bury all of the shit that we were here to get in the first place.
Heinrich, as your words kind of die in the space, you listen for that sobbing that you'd heard. You don't hear it anymore.
We need to make a decision, and we need to go now.
Alright, Shay, I'm following you.
I'm going up.
No decision's been made.
I'm following Shay.
You can hear the building shifting above you, but Shay, you go underneath the cage and head towards that hole. Yep. All right. You go in that direction. Guntir, you follow. What about you, Morwen and Heinrich? All right. One by one, underneath the barred cage, and you emerge onto the top. In front of you, no more than 100 feet, you can see the aperture, the marble walls with cracks in places, the silvery metal that binds it together, and the glass panes above, twisted and warped. And every now and then, you can hear this groan of metal as the structure shifts, fairly damaged. You hear glass falling here and there, just little bits with each creak and moan. And all of you now, up at the top, can see this platform. Given the distance for height, maybe 120 feet ahead of you, and then 120 feet up. You see elements of a wooden platform. You can only see the top 30 or so feet, but it's like long, tall poles of wood that support a platform on top. You can see there is a figure, although for any Guntir, you can actually tell it is a mountain elf. You've never seen an you have seen an elf kind of like this. You've seen two. Similar to Aira and Hylan in terms of the skin color. The hair, almost this kind of like sandy blonde that is pushed back. You see this light in front of him. You only see the back. And then suddenly there is this, and you see this very bright white light, and you have this vivid flashback of the heart within the Sunrest Islands. And you remember seeing a very similar color emanating around the righteous chain, which had been placed onto this block of white stone. You see again the figure move. Again, this burst of white light. And you remember within the heart, you had seen two artifacts within white columns of stone lit from beneath before that pillar had risen, the Pillar of Scales. Shay, you realize that within the halls of Dharma, what had probably been removed, similar white blocks to what you had seen within the heart of the Sunrest Islands. However, having been moved, unclear if they will still activate the pillar.
Sure.
How
high up is this?
Yeah.
It's about 120 feet up in the air, and then as that secondary of light appears, you can now hear this sound of metal on metal, and you imagine that aperture above opening, and suddenly there is this red glow and the sound of a much stronger wind pushing its way through. As the wind comes through, elements of red dust are drifting down, striking this figure, and you are suddenly aware of the fact that there is more movement. And you see Ninth Path monks now climbing up and leaping through, almost 10 feet up and then through the aperture. From your angle down below, you can see through the aperture. There is no longer sky. There's no longer the slightly darkened sky of Alberon with streaks of yellows and reds because the sun is beginning to set. You see a weird, looking up, it's as if the entire top is like a, you know those images that depending on the way that you look at them, they're like a different image? I actually wrote down what those are called. They are. It's almost like a lenticular image, but as it moves, it's like each element above is like a strand, like a lenticular strand, and as it shifts, it's as if somebody dropped water into a pond, and as the ripples cross the sky, you see stars, planets, and moons appear and disappear, shifting. Some of them familiar, some of them very alien. It's as if you're looking at echoes of a shattered reality. And as that drifts out, that's the sky above. You can see red mountains and red ground. You can see in the very distance to the north and possibly far off in what should just be sky, a massive stone sword plunged into a distant hillside. Heinrich, from what you read about Calypsos, this seems very close. Mm-hmm. And you see 3, 4, 5 dozens of monks leaving and into the space. Are you doing anything?
How far away are the two objects on the pillars? Or on the
One is about 120 feet away, and then on the opposite side of the platform. So then one's 120 feet away, 120 feet up. One's 150 feet away and 120 feet up.
I think I want to get close enough to fire a guiding bolt at one of those. The closer one, presumably.
What is the range on guiding bolt?
120 feet.
So you would need to get about 60 feet closer. So are you running in that direction?
I think so. Okay. We got to do something. I can't let Thistle die again.
I need all of you to roll initiative because this is going to be quite a race. 1 second here.
Oh, fuck yeah. Why don't we just bring it down?
Well, that's our trump card.
So, anybody natural 20? 25 to 20.
24.
23? Or 22, sorry, 22.
Okay, so Morwen, then Heinrich.
Oh, no, not me. That was
Shay,
Shay.
then Heinrich.
Oh, sorry. Shay and then Heinrich. Morwen, what was yours?
What was my... Oh, 18.
18, okay. And then Guntir?
3.
Okay. So Guntir, you begin to move, but even as you do, Shay, what are you doing?
Step of the wind up to the top of the platform.
Okay, Guntir, you take a step forward. Shay is already like 20 feet ahead of you. Your next leg plants. Shay is so distant, it's hard to make out the details of the purple and black robes. With step of the wind, what is your movement range? Your speed?
It's 140.
Okay. You race. There is this of dust and particles that part as Shay moves quicker than you've ever seen. Shay, easily you reach the edge of the aperture. Right in front of you, there is a set of doors that is swung open. You can see stone floors that then drop about 5 feet, and you can see in front of you dozens of these small openings within the space. And you see in several of them still suspended face down mountain elves looking straight down into what you would imagine is just air and clouds and thousands of feet below ground. Mm-hmm. In this brief instant, you can see in some of them, you see in one of them, just an arm dangling from a chain. You can see elements from this glyphs on pieces of paper attached to the floor going up the wall seem to be ignited with this dull red energy that climbs the wall across hundreds, maybe thousands of flapping scripts of parchment and paper with various arcane writings. You can read some of them. There are Elvish bits, but there are weirder languages. Heinrich, you would recognize Infernal, although hard to recognize the others as they all shift into common for you. But as you trace them up, they all go to the aperture. You see elements of the aperture have been modified with these elements of paper. You also see these two blocks of white stone on this platform. You can see in one of them this curved staff that seems to have these glimmering, at first they look like gems, but you realize they're detached and apart from it. This is some kind of a magical staff And you can see at the feet of this elf, who is slowly turning to face you, this opened and slightly cast aside red Zinni reliquary, the top now separate from the bottom. You can see in the other one, there seems to be this crystal dagger floating within a beam of white light, similar to how you saw the righteous chain floating in the blocks of life that had activated the Pillar of Scales. This energy seems to have been diverted using whatever arcane magics go through this paper to open this portal to whatever lies beyond versus the actual pillar itself. So in a way, you probably prevented a pillar from being opened. However, this doesn't seem to be too much better. And as you look through this portal, seeing what looks almost like the landscape of like a Mars-like planet, were it not for some dead sort of tree-like plant growth that you can see, like almost blackened bark. But you can see the figure finally turn. You see the eyes, even from this distance, because you are still 120 feet below. But you see these gleaming purple eyes. And you've not seen an intelligence like this behind the eyes of Jeruxa before. But it is certainly him. You see a smile spread across his face. In your mind, you can hear his voice. Oh, Shay, you were just a bit too late. You can see the eyes turn, looking behind you, distantly. And Markavir, you brought him too. Tell him I'll tell his mother hello for him. Don't worry about Aira. I wouldn't kill my own daughter, although insolence does need to be repaid. But at a later time. Toodaloo. And you see up and through this portal. As this happens, you can now feel the ground begin to shake slightly. What are you doing?
If possible, I want to try to remove one of the items from the pedestal.
That's 120 feet up. So you don't have a climbing speed?
I don't.
10 feet up the wooden platform, you begin to climb. There is a ladder that is a little further in that you could run to, but if you begin to climb straight away, it's just 10 feet up.
I still have a dash, so that gives me another.
Okay, so you can take 30 feet to get to the ladder and then begin to climb. It is a 50-foot ladder that goes to the middle. There's a platform and then another 50-foot ladder to a smaller platform that Jeruxa stands on.
Okay, as far up as I can get.
Okay, you're 30 feet up the ladder.
Okay.
That is your turn. Heinrich, what would you like to do?
I'm just gonna yell to Guntir, should I just bring the whole place down and we just get out of here?
No, we gotta stop him!
It's already too... Fuck it. I'm gonna stay near the map.
Since when did you become so defeatist?
Not defeatist. This is the best solution I could think of. Whatever, this is more than 6 seconds. I'm staying and readying to see if my friends turn and run or need help. Turn and run back towards me, and if they do, then I'm gonna go back down and blow up that part of the map.
So at the moment, are you above ground?
Oh. Where? Yeah, I mean, I guess...
We all are.
I thought that
So
we all had followed Shay up.
So if that's the case, then you're probably about 60 feet away, not counting the drop down from the map. Should you look up and see past Shay, kind of up and into the building, you do see this mountain elf to you, kind of nothing. But as he gestures, there is this kind of brief flicker of a shadow, similar to the sword that you had at the beginning of the campaign.
Yeah.
But you see it disappear along with him into this portal.
Okay. Well then fine. If he's already gone through, then there's no point to bring it down. Let's just all start running.
Okay. 60 feet closer.
Dash, yeah.
Sure. You get about halfway to the actual structure itself. That is your turn. Morwen, what are you doing?
I'm gonna run too with everything. So feline agility and dash too.
So what is your complete
my movement? I believe that's it'd be 30 to 60 to 120, correct?
Okay. So Heinrich, you get about halfway through. You can hear shoo, 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 the rings weighing you down as you move of your armor, and all of a sudden, right past you, Morwen, the streak of purple and black. Morwen, you get right up to the structure. You can see through these opening doors as Shay begins to scale the ladder. You can look up and see this alien landscape through a open metal aperture on top of a massive wooden platform that looks fairly hastily erected. That is your turn? Guntir, what do you want to do? You are far away from everybody. You've now taken your second step.
I'm gonna recognize that I'm not catching up to them anytime soon. So, is there anything around me that seems like it could potentially help, either like getting them closer and further along in their paths, or like to use it as
like
a way.
Power up? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for like. I'm basically just trying to see like what else is happening around us besides the.
So you're using your action to make a perception check.
Yes.
Okay, make a perception check.
More like you can't move, so what are you doing? What should
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah. That's a 28.
Okay.
My
As everybody
perception's good, at least.
just speeds away from you, Heinrich a little slower than the other two, you look around and try to take in everything that's happening. You don't notice any other Ninth Path monks. You can see elements of the buildings already damaged have crumbled in from the impact of, as you turn, an entire mountain that has risen up from the ground.
Oh, that's new.
Still, at this point, there are rocks and snow tumbling from this peak that obscures the sun from your vision. As you look around, you can see just through part of the aperture. You can see sky above it, but when you look through it, it is an entirely different landscape in a different orientation than what is just sky above. It looks almost like a flatness to it. You see monks leaping through. You see this figure turn. A figure that you have not seen before, but he leaps up through. You can see to your left, there is the ruins of what looks like at some point a domicile of some kind, although much taller than what you are used to. To your right, there is what looks like, there's actually an intact bench built for a giant. Nothing that seems especially useful for your friends who are close to 200 feet away.
I'm gonna, I guess, move 25 feet towards them.
You pull your pants up and begin to scuffle towards them. That is your turn. That brings us to Shay. You are 30 feet up the ladder, and you suddenly hear on top, and you see one of these white lights go out. You see this crystalline dagger spinning end over end before it shatters. You see bits of crystal scatter throughout the room. You see the portal above you flicker dangerously.
I'm gonna use haste.
Okay.
And
you channel the energy within you in a way that you were taught growing up within the Zingi, and suddenly adrenaline unnaturally fills your body. What is your full speed with that?
Base is 140.
And then that doubles, right? Or no, because you're just using the base just to get up. Okay, that's what you're doing. So you use haste. Suddenly the adrenaline fills your body, and instead of just climbing the ladder, you are now using your arms and legs to propel yourself up. You fly up the length of this thing, 20 feet, 40 feet, 100 feet, 120 feet. You leap up. Right in front of you or on top of you, about 10 feet, anchored into the ceiling, you can see an alien landscape just drifting above you. You can see elements of the red. There's red dust in the air. There is wind. You see this lenticular image of a sky, just different realities coalescing and fading out of existence, as if rain upon a pond, just creating refractions of different realities. You can see this stone to the north. What are you doing? You are now on the platform. To your right, there is this shattered elements of a white block that are now almost seeming to melt into the wood. And there is one more block, and you see clearly in front of you a staff that would be identified as the maker.
I want to try to get the staff.
Okay. You step forward. It is 20 feet away from where you emerge on the ladder. But before you burst from the top. You are not climbing it. You actually leap and are about 5 feet up in the air. Guntir, you see this from a distance. You land and are already sprinting forward. As you grab it, there is a blinding flash of pain as radiant energy goes up your arm. Morwen, you're the only one close enough to see this. For an instant, Shay's eyes go completely white. You remember Bernal in the Pillar of Scales being consumed by whatever energy had activated that pillar. Shay, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
No.
Natural 20.
Oh my god!
Good time.
Its
Glad to use
energy
that.
arcs up your arm. You can see, similar to Guntir's tattoos almost, lightning bolts of white spread to your shoulder. They ebb out. You can see through the actual cloth. It's so bright. It burns your skin. But thinking about Drux and what he said, especially about Aira, you push this energy away, and as it right out of your arm, you are left with this lightning scar all the way down your arm, still singed and burning. However, you still have whatever is left of your turn.
Do I have the staff?
Your eyes like swimming. You can't see for a moment, and then slowly the image in front of you begins to coalesce, and you are holding this curved, it is wood and metal almost fused into this staff. At its base, you can see 5 small, they look like gems at first, but they're just points of arcane light that drift from the hilt of it. You now hold in your hand the maker, and you feel beyond just this power that surged up your arm from the building block of life at your base. You feel the ability to create within your hand. This is beyond just vibrating. You feel an almost urge to utilize this power. You have no idea what it does, but it seems to be almost pulling you towards it. Anything else?
I want... Does the pedestal itself that I pulled it off of still look intact? Or no?
Yes, however, you can see already the color beginning to fade, and in this moment you see like a little crack appear. You know that it is about to burst.
Great, I'm making my way back down.
Okay. You begin to make your way back down, and at the end of your turn, Shay, there is another, and you can see little bits of white crystal exploding into the air, and in that moment, you can see this red landscape just disappear. And above you, there is sky through an open metal aperture. And I'm going to take you guys out of initiative because the way to Calypsos is closed.
Oh, we failed.
No, we didn't. We got the staff. That's the only reason why we came up here.
What just happened? Because I literally just made it to the base of the pole to chase Shay, and now she's coming down, and she's all like lightning-y.
Now you know how I feel.
All right. So, am I up to the?
Well, when Shay comes down, you see she is holding this complex, elegant staff with these small points of light that seem to almost move. Where her hand is, the lights are on the other side, almost like a hilt to the staff. Just points of light that drift out from it. You see from that staff going all the way up her arm, the sleeve has been almost exploded outward, so you can see up to the shoulder. Just all twisted scars that look like lightning bolts that kind of coalesce around the shoulder. That is where they end. But you can actually still see bits of smoke rising from them.
We need to move. We need to get out of here.
Nick. Oh, okay.
I'm still making my way. I'm like,
Alright, so we all just run past Guntir the other way. Spin him around.
We're here.
What are we doing?
Am I in the building yet?
And at about this point, you guys hear, and Heinrich just comes in, all the scales rattling against each other. You hear somebody out of breath, still probably about 100 feet back from you all, just echoing through this abandoned city street.
Did we get everything that we needed to before we need to leave, which is, I'm assuming, right now?
And those bits of glass begin to kind of, are still falling around. The wind dies down somewhat. It's quiet.
Wait, are we in any danger right now?
Are there people hanging from the floor still in danger right now?
So you move forward, kind of seeing these open gaps to the sky. There are, within some of these apertures, suspended, all of them, mountain elves. Mm-hmm. You see all various shades of orange, red, kind of very mountainy sort of skin. There are dangling from 5 of these open apertures just bits of limbs and things attached to chains that you can see retract in as if they were split open. or had all of their limbs at the same time just forcefully pulled, and you would imagine the bodies kind of dropped to the ground below. You trace the elements of paper that are begin around these apertures. You see them linking up. What do you want to do?
I want to save as many of the people who are still there as I can.
Okay, you run forward towards the first one. You can see they're kind of spread out, chains around the wrists and the ankles, anchored into the actual stone. And as you approach, you can see the head drooping forward kind of strangely, and in the sky you can see just little bits dripping from the throat.
Okay.
You look across these bodies. There is a stillness to this place that would lead you to believe that
They're all dead.
probably would have a tough time saving them.
Okay, so they're all dead.
I'm
That's
gonna walk over to Heinrich and kind of put a hand on his shoulder.
Suddenly, Guntir
Sorry,
first.
Shay, what did you say? You were quiet. What was it?
It's too late. We need to go.
Well, Shay, I mean, isn't Era, right? Still here?
She's with them. It's too late. We need to go.
Go where?
How do we even leave this place?
The
We need to get
stairs
back to
behind
Squall's End.
where,
We need to
the
find the
stairs
last
behind where we
piece.
came in.
The way we came. Oh. I thought we went through a portal.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
behind
we went
us.
through a portal.
Yes, and then behind us there are just sections of stone that we could slowly leap and traverse down back to the ground.
That's gonna take a long time today.
That is the way, and it will take a while unless anyone else has any ideas.
Well, why don't we just do the thing in the map room and just ride the thing down?
Heinrich laughs audibly.
Like a big elevator.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, anyways, let's get...
Oh, so it was cool when you did it, but when I suggested it's back to not being cool.
I don't think you're thinking about it at all. If you want to ride a collapsing piece of stone 1,000 feet down to the ground, you try that and tell me how it goes.
Closer to like 1,700 feet. You guys are up there. The cumulus clouds are beneath you, and the stratus cumulus clouds are atop of you. You're like kind of... Yorn itself exists in a fairly clean slate of air, with clouds above and beneath. But you are high in the air.
Weren't we here to get Gunter's stuff anyway? Where's the stuff?
Yeah.
We're here to get the staff, and Shay got it. I don't know where
Oh,
Gunter's
staff.
stuff
I thought it was stuff.
is. No.
Yeah, no, it was stuff. No!
We'll find it.
Wasn't that the whole point?
I can't find it because we failed.
Oh,
What are
Maybe
you
look
talking
around,
about?
Gunter, but I doubt it.
They just said it was too late. They took our stuff.
They did.
well,
Your
just
stuff
our
is the
stuff.
least important thing in this situation right now, Gunter.
Gunter,
If you
is
want to
too-
find it, it's probably still around here somewhere, discarded in the corner.
See, that's
Gunter,
what I'm
you,
talking about.
as Heinrich says this, you for the first time see behind him, there are just dangling body parts and dead elves suspended in these open apertures that go beneath. You imagine that's what Shay meant.
Real sorry, Shay. It
Life
just kind of...
flows as it does. We need to move if we're to save more lives.
So back to Squall's End we go then.
We need to find the
Gunter, I
last
would
piece.
take this time to look for your stuff.
I'm gonna glance around. Is there any sign of any of my stuff anywhere?
Make a perception check.
Like,
Funny you should say that. I've had it the whole time. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just
Imagine.
it's
I honestly wouldn't be that surprised,
No,
truthfully.
you guys...
I just took his whole bag.
that was
And the
a
staff, I was like,
25.
stupid stick.
25?
Yeah.
Okay. Gunter, you kind of sheepishly now look around. You don't see your stuff, but what you do see are hundreds of scrolls on with various texts. You see elements of Elvish, some stuff that looks kind of like the glyphs that spin into life around Heinrich's magic, celestial. As some of them drift in the breeze coming up from these apertures, you can see beneath them there are thin lines of metal.
Oh.
And you would imagine this originally had a separate purpose. Without really kind of thinking about it or doing anything with it, it would be hard to discern. But That is what you see. You see there's about 15 bodies or pieces of bodies. That is what you see.
Bodies.
Bodies hit the floor.
Pieces of 15 bodies or 15 pieces of bodies?
I mean, is it really that important?
It's kind of important.
If it really matters, currently there are 7 intact bodies, and then there are arms and legs dangling from several other holes.
Okay. Okay. Clarified.
All right, Shay, let's go back to the engines. We need to get back to Squall's Bend.
I'm already walking.
Okay, good.
This was... this was an utter failure.
Well, Shay's got a fancy stick now. That seems pretty cool.
As we're walking, do I have my book back yet, or is it? I don't remember the last time I used it. I think I used it when we were hidden in the. I have one more question.
I believe so. Yeah, you guys used it when you were in the Hearth Hall. So you used it. Maybe it's hard. It'd be hard to tell. Maybe like 6 hours ago, somewhere between 6 and 8 hours ago.
Right, and I think I only asked it 2 questions because of getting all I needed out of it then. I guess just for the sake of it, since I can't think of anything else, I'm going to just pull out the book while I'm walking to catch up to Shay.
Shay, you go ahead holding the maker in your hand. Morwen and Guntir, you follow. And Heinrich, as you step out through this huge doorway and into this giant-sized street with a mountain now looming in front of you, probably about close to 1,000 feet away. Take out the book. Plain sort of leather exterior, but as you open it, these pages seem to have a power to them. And what are you writing?
I'm just going to ask, where is the bag that was taken from Guntir by...
It wasn't just the bag, it was everything.
You write these celestial glyphs into the book, and as they take shape, they drift beneath the paper and shimmer back up changed. The bag is north of the blade of Aethys.
Oh, okay. And that wasn't anywhere on the map of the city, right?
No.
Okay, so then it is gone. Good.
Are you sharing that information?
No.
Okay.
Because if it was good news, I would share it. If it's bad, I'll just whatever. I'm not gonna tell them. Yeah, they have it in there because we're not going in there. We can't get in there.
Fair enough.
No point.
While we're walking, as long as Heinrich and I are out of earshot of the others, I will relay to him what Juruxa said.
Okay. Morwen and Guntir, where are you guys? Are you guys letting kind of Heinrich and Shay drift off, or what are you doing?
No, of course not.
I thought that Heinrich hung back. I thought we were behind Shay.
No, I was going out to catch up and writing as I was walking.
Oh. Well, I mean, I'd be following.
Okay.
Guntir
So,
east.
Shay, you would need to probably find a way to pull Heinrich aside because you guys are walking as a group. But you could also just relay it later if you want.
Relay it later then.
Sure.
Do I sense any disturbance on her face?
Make an insight check.
That is 19.
Shay, what does he see with the 19?
A slight grimace. Definitely something on my mind.
Okay. Message. Shay, what is it? Aside from the obvious.
Juruxa sends his regards. He called you by name.
That means that he's in contact with Azra now, probably.
He mentioned your mother. I don't know if he meant your actual mother or if he meant Azra.
What did he say?
Tina forgets.
He said that he would say hello to Heinrich's mother for you.
I'll say hi to your mother for you.
You get the sense that it probably wasn't Azra.
Oh.
Not to alarm you, but
I wonder if that means there's a faster way through where they just went to get to the gated or 1,000 gates. Because Miles doesn't exactly remember, but I think that's where she had gone to from Port Quinn, correct?
It was, yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's our next destination. That's where I'm heading next, whether or not anyone joins me. Because if she's in danger, and also this other member of this order that follows the same patron as I do now is headed, that is where I'm going.
I agree. I would like to see if we can get a heading on the last piece, but yes, it is important that we...
The last piece?
Of the staff.
Of the staff? Shay, make a history check.
I thought there were 3.
There are.
There are.
It's 17?
Shay, in your possession, you know that you have now the binder and the maker. You possess 2/3 of the Staff of Twisted Fates. The part that you're missing is called the Breaker. It's described as a wood and crystal staff that is able to change shape to whatever force could be used to destroy what the user wants. You think about that crystal dagger shattering.
You guys are being awfully quiet for having just witnessed
You just hear Shay say, damn.
And I'm just gonna whisper to Guntir, be like, you can always tell they're messaging when they're just kind of looking at each other and not saying it.
Oh, I'm looking
either that or there's tension.
Straight ahead, not looking.
Yeah, we're not
anywhere.
looking at each other. I looked over at her and then I'm walking like this.
I feel like in casual conversation, even if you're messaging, you'd be like,
I'm not in this one. Straight ahead.
I feel like, to be quite fair, if you two were looking at me, you would just see like an occasional concerned glance over at Shay. That would be about it. But
as walk through the now abandoned street in front of you, you actually would pass the large hole. There are discarded pickaxes and shovels that were used to breach this. You see a little bit of blood heading off in the direction of the aperture. You'd imagine that was the one that got away. And you'd imagine he too is in Calypso's now.
Should we bring it down? One last chance.
Why?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, then let's get going.
Okay. You pass this hole knowing that the controls to the city lie beneath your feet, already having reshaped a substantial portion of a mountain range to the south of Squall's End. You continue on your way. And you head.
Wait, should we not re-protect it so not someone else?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Your mind goes back to when you were looking up and that bit of ice dripped on your head from where Heinrich had begun to melt it.
Yeah, I feel like we can't just leave things here.
Okay, then let's go and see if we can secure it somehow. Quick pit stop.
Don't even get my stuff back. You gotta go clean up your mess.
This is...
Gunter turns around and...
I'm not going to say it.
So are you guys all going down, or a few people going down and everybody else waiting on top, or what are you doing?
Not going down.
I'm going to wait on top.
Okay.
I'll go down.
Okay, so Heinrich and Gunter going down. Shay and Morwen, you waiting
too?
up top? Okay, Shay as well. So Morwen, you're alone up top. Frank is there, technically.
True, I'm never alone.
True.
Yeah, I'm just looking around because, shit just got a little wild, so I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
Fair enough. You look around, make a perception check. The rest of you drop down. You retrace your steps and into this sort of control room through the now sort of tunneled underneath the cage. You guys go through that tunnel and get to this section. You see the ice, now having begun to melt, seems to be doing so a little bit quicker. You can actually see an element of this giant's finger protruding from the ice.
Uh-oh.
I cast counter spell on it.
On the finger?
No, on the lightning bolt. If it's frozen...
You can certainly try. Yeah. Interesting. Give me just 1 second.
It has to be at level 5, by the way, too.
Yeah, that is... Hang on. Interesting.
Right?
I don't know why I didn't think about this. Okay, so you attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting a spell. The spell's already been cast.
Has it though? That's what this is the gray zone that I'm thinking that it was in.
I'll tell you what.
Back pocketing it.
Go ahead, and so you're casting it at the same level that the spell is cast at.
Okay.
So go ahead and make your check. It is a 15 is the DC. So use it's your spellcasting ability. So you're
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not gonna believe it. It's exactly a 15.
Okay.
I rolled a fucking 6. Holy shit.
Hold your hand out, and normally for counterspell, it is this kind of flick of emotion, and you see this line of glyphs it's almost like a railgun, just ignite and then fire off to counter whatever spell it is. This time, using a level 5 counterspell, you actually feel elements of the rock beneath you drawn towards you as these lines are streaks of light. And this spell bursts. You can see the ice itself unaffected, but the lightning within suddenly just vanishes. Well done.
Holy shit. Alright. I'm glad that worked.
Alright, well now what do we do about this guy?
Leave him.
I don't know. Does it see like it would continue to thaw and he would still be alive?
I mean,
Take
maybe.
a medicine check if you want to go and check that out.
Yeah. I'll try. Medicine for 19.
You get up very close, and you see, ironically enough, the finger protruding from the ice. You get up to it. It's a giant's finger. So to kind of like bend it down, you would need to hold the tip like this and kind of pull it. Do you do that?
As long as it won't disturb the ice.
Okay, won't disturb the ice, but
Okay.
as you grab it, the skin crumples beneath your feet, just dried out, desiccated, and just kind of crumbles, the bone protruding through.
Okay.
You'd imagine probably not going to be living through that.
Okay. I'll just give a thumbs up to whoever's looking. He's dead.
Right.
His name Jim, but okay.
So you saw that kind of pendant originally, and you can see there is that kind of giant language that you've already seen rearrange once, and you see it kind of rearrange now. This seems to be a name. This giant is called
Jim.
Jim's dead, Jim.
He's a giant. It's Jim. No, his name was Tayog Mata.
Huh. Nice try, Toyad.
He doesn't respond.
Yeah.
He is frozen and dead.
Well, there's that taken care of. Now, do you want to block up the wall, or should we just get out of here? I can't imagine many people will make their way up here now that the
Maybe
night...
now maybe is a time for the dynamite?
What do you mean?
I mean, cave in the tunnel here.
That seems more dangerous. I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh, says the person who literally raised a mountain into the sky.
Right. Says that person. I don't want to bring the whole thing down again and blowing something up nearby. I mean, you saw how the ceiling started to collapse as...
Yeah, I saw.
Up, so, yeah.
I saw very clearly.
All right. Well, if we're not patching up the hole, then let's just get out of here.
I'm tired. I'm not patching up.
You guys have been walking for this duration. You reach
I'm still upstairs.
Gotcha. So are you guys returning now or what? The three of you. Are you going back up?
Not yet.
Okay.
I will.
Morwen, what was your perception check?
It was 18.
Okay. You look around, and the only thing that really catches your attention up at the top of this newly appeared mountain, you see at the top there's like a shift of movement before in the distance and then you see this large shift of snow. It's like an avalanche off the eastern side, and then it just drops into the clouds below. But aside from that, seems to be relatively abandoned. Here and there you hear a bird, but
Cool.
So, do we want to reset the map before we go?
What do you mean, reset the map?
I mean, put back the entire mountain that you just raised into the sky.
feel like doing that would just cause more damage. I'm not touching.
Well, you seemed okay with causing a lot of damage when you brought it into the sky.
Yeah, it had a motive then. That doesn't have a motive now. If you feel like doing it, go right ahead. I mean, I'm making my way back up. I'm done with this place. I don't want to fuck with it anymore.
Shay, what do you think?
I'm already up.
It's just you alone down in this hole, Guntir. In front of you, there is the entire map of Yorn, enchanted to control the city. You control it at your fingertips. You see this giant frozen in place, a warning perhaps of meddling with things beyond your own power. But this entire city is with you and you alone.
The area that Heinrich most recently raised.
Yes.
How like large is it? Is there a way that I can try to gently lower it down?
You can try to do whatever you want. However, it's large enough that you could probably balance standing on it. You don't necessarily know that you have the strength or the weight to do it, but you could certainly try.
So it's basically like a giant, like 7 or 8 foot long table size.
Yeah, a little bit longer, but yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try to like grip the edge and see like how much it takes to move it.
Make an athletics check.
I'm just like, I'm not trying to knock it down first. I'm just trying to like test the,
Yeah.
That's a 17.
Okay, so gingerly you put your fingertips on it. You have to tippy toe up just to get your fingertips on the top. You kind of pull them forward more, and you slowly pull down. Nothing really happens, harder and harder, and suddenly your feet lift the ground, but this thing is not descending at all.
All right, now that I know that I'm going to try to climb up onto the top of it.
Okay, with a 17 athletics check, yeah, you take that pulling momentum and kind of get an arm on top, and then get the other arm, and it takes a couple tries, but you kick your leg over and you roll onto this little platform of stone. You see elements of you actually see the full giant glyphs that are inscribed into it, a similar kind of yellowy, chalky powder within them.
I'm gonna try to like jump on it to see if that makes it fall at all.
Okay, you leap into the air, the leather armor, the cloak billowing behind you, and you land. There is not even an inch of give.
Where's the glyph?
Right in the middle across. It's the glyph that actually is the title of the space. So you actually don't know what the title is, so you have no idea what it is. You just see ancient giant kind of written in front of you. Do you speak giant?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think so. No. I'm gonna try to like rub the glyphs off. Be like, oh, this is what Heinrich did before. He just rubbed some water on it. I'll just try to rub it off.
So you're just kind of like taking your sleeve and trying to...
just kind of like wiping it a little.
Okay, sure. So Heinrich, you remember, you're not there anymore, but you remember Rune Brakad was the name of whatever rune this was. You remember that it had some kind of a defensive property that when interacted with in certain ways would probably be maybe abjuration in nature. Guntir, as you reach down and try to scrub this magic away, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Oh, God, it's always dex. Come on, big dex. Oh! Natural 20.
Fantastic. Roll a d20 for me, please.
14.
Okay. Guntir, what magical items do you currently possess? None, right?
Pretty sure I have nothing. I have my daggers and my money.
Nothing seems to happen. However, you sense a slight vibration on the platform that you hit on, or that you are currently standing on. You're not hitting on a platform. Or you could. This is D&D. But as you look at this shimmering thing and it shakes underneath you, suddenly you see the bit of chalk lift slightly before it quickly descends on the stone this tiny bit of chalk, this just light dust, descends onto the stone quickly, and as it does, there is a burst of thunder. All of you hear it from back in this tunnel. You're only going to take half damage. However, I should have had more D10s out. That is 16, 21, 28, 34, 39 points of thunder damage, and you are knocked prone.
Is that half of 39,
sorry,
or is that already
half
halved?
of 39? Sorry, so 39 points of damage halved to, I want to say 19.
I want you to say 19 as well.
And you are knocked prone on the stone surface. You crawl up on your elbow, and that glyph is exactly as it was.
It looked so easy.
Guntir really hurt himself the most. Out of,
like
all the damage dealt, it's
like
all
just
been Guntir doing it to himself.
Campaign-wide.
Just like laying on the ground again. Like
he got squished by a rock in this room. Now he just got shot by
lightning.
Thunder.
How does it happen?
There's a thread. There's a thread you could follow.
Yeah.
Bit of a common
Pretty
theme.
clear thread.
Alright, well, when I hear that, I'm looking my head down the hole so that, like, my head's, like, upside down, but in the ceiling. I'm like,
Okay.
Guntir, what are you doing?
I tried to erase the groans.
You can't quite see Guntir back in the room. You hear his voice drifting through. You don't quite see Morwen, but you hear the voice.
If you're done, why don't you come back up? Because you're making a lot. I mean, not that anyone's looking, but you know, sounds a little dangerous down there.
Oh yeah, I was trying to fix Heinrich's mistakes, but now I'm.
Oh no, you should know better by now.
He's not worth fixing. I know.
Yeah, it's not your job. It's not your job.
I'm gonna like roll over the edge of the map and just like let myself down.
Guntir, so you let yourself down. You roll off the edge, kind of using your arms to swing the legs down. They dangle in the clouds, and you drop into the basin. The clouds drift around your knees, but you're fine.
All right. Thoroughly disheartened and not wanting to let anything go to waste, I want to have some sort of win in this room. Is there anything that I can steal?
Make a perception check as you're looking around this room.
That's a 10.
A 10? The only thing that you really see that is probably movable, you look at this frozen giant. You see the bone pendant with pale blue 8-pointed star over a little blue ring. You can see the hand outstretched. There is like a bracelet. There is like some simple jewelry on the hand. And it being giant size, it's quite large. But aside from that, there's not much in this room.
And all of that is frozen still?
Yes.
I'm gonna go back, completely dejected.
Morwen, from your perspective, upside down, you see the top of Guntir's head, his head hanging down, just shuffling through rubble, and he makes his way up, and you all now are up above on the street level of the city of Yorn.
Back to the stairs, and let's start climbing down.
Interest, as soon as I got back up, I started walking back toward the entrance.
What was that, Shay? Sorry.
As soon as I got back up, I started walking toward the entrance.
Okay.
I feel like I can stick with her.
Okay. So Shay and Heinrich, the two of you walking ahead of the group, you get to the metal ring that you had traveled to from the area that you entered. In front of this ring is a mountain.
It's a mountain.
Unclear what stepping on this ring will do, but if you took the same trajectory, it would bring you, and you would remember, you adhere to this cloud through the mountain itself. If it still takes the same trajectory, just something to think about.
Could I place something on it to see if it triggers? I'll start with I'm assuming loose rubble around.
Sure. take some rubble off the ground and you kind of scatter it out onto the ring, and doesn't do anything.
Following up with that, some organic material. I'll take. I will take one of the beads of nourishment that I still have, and I will drop it on there.
A tiny little.
You see Heinrich take out a small, slightly opaque. It's like a little boba.
Yeah.
And he holds it out and he drops it, and then just settles onto it.
Okay, I'm gonna mage hand it back, and then I'll just put it in my mouth because I'm probably hungry.
And it drifts up in this ghostly teal hand, and you drop it into your mouth. Very tasteless, but filling.
Good. I feel full. Shit.
You likely need something alive.
Yeah. Don't really have any of that that's worth risking. I guess me. I'll do it. I put the mountain here. I'll try.
Wait. Oh, okay.
At this point, Morwen and Guntir finally catch up.
No. I wanna. Wait. Did Shay? You left your orange robes on one of the dead bodies, right?
I did.
I'm gonna go get it for her as a little gift.
Okay. So, Morwen, you take a little bit of extra time undressing this already undressed and redressed body. You're like pulling the limbs around. The eyes are like open now permanently, and like you're pulling, and the lip comes up as you're pulling, and it kind of stays like that. The rigor mortis now setting in. But yeah, you disrespect the body again, and is in clothing. You can add
I'm gonna do one more,
I feel like
and now I'm gonna go.
by the time Morwen finishes that, I've probably gotten to the top of the.
Yeah, while you're undressing this, you're hearing Guntir like grunting and slowly getting up all the bits of rubble. And as soon as you get out, Guntir, Morwen just pops out behind you.
I hate this.
It's all right. We'll find your stuff someday.
We will.
We might,
They don't even care.
or maybe we'll just find you more stuff. Let's just go get you more stuff. Here you go. I give him 1 gold piece. Here you go, buddy. Well, if you don't want it, I'll take it.
It's like barely opposite. It's like, here you go. Well, if you don't want it.
No, I'm holding it out. I'm like, you have like a second to take it.
Well, I still have all my gold.
Okay, I'll keep it.
Oh,
Thanks, though.
Thanks, though.
I don't know.
To what?
You're welcome.
So the two of you begin to walk back towards Heinrich and Shay. Heinrich, you at this thing, you've picked up the bead, you've eaten it.
Yeah. Now, was there another ring on this part that we just brought up? I guess it wouldn't matter because it's probably buried and fucked up.
Based on the image that you saw, it would be on the opposite side
Of the
of this district. Yeah, it would be on the other end.
Can we
Well,
just walk
Shay,
around it?
do we want to just walk around the mountain and get to the next one? Because I don't want to risk being smushed into a mountain.
I also don't wish to be smushed around a mountain, but whatever would be fastest and safest, I suppose.
Those don't usually go hand in hand.
I feel like while they're talking, I will just walk up, not even paying attention, and walk onto the ring like,
Of course.
I don't even care.
See Guntir step onto the ring. Right as you guys are like talking, like safest and fastest don't always go hand in hand. Now you just see the top of, if this was like a cinematographic thing, you just see the top of Gunter's head passing in front of you before he steps into the ring. Both of you are just like, huh! And suddenly in front of you, Guntir, foo, 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 runes appear in giant, drifting, kind of floating in the air, a similar yellowish sort of magic. Heinrich, you can read these.
Oh.
They rearrange themselves to form for you names of the districts that have been pulled up. And now that there are more of these rings, not just 2, you would imagine that you can choose your destination. This was kind of like the transit of the city.
That's Guntir,
You
you can
see-
choose where you want to go.
Can it bring me to my
It's just,
stuff?
in front of you is just 3 lines of nonsense. You have
I'm
no
just
idea.
gonna like, not even looking up. I'm just gonna be like,
Okay,
What
so
is Guntir? No.
And suddenly you see underneath Guntir this cloud coalesce and lift him up. Guntir lifts up and begins to drift towards the mountain. You see he travels 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet up to the part that Morwen, you would know is the cruising altitude of this cloud. And Guntir, suddenly the cloud lurches forwards. The mountain begins to come towards you. You're face down at the cloud. You don't see the mountain coming. You all watch as this cloud drifts closer and closer, and then takes a slight angle as it goes above the mountain.
Okay.
So we're all
This
like,
sad little dwarf drifting into the sky. This purple and red sky as the sun is now setting a little bit. But he just drifts. Morwen, for a moment, Morwen, you are vividly brought back to your first moments on Alberon and seeing this laughing turtle cackling away like Mary Poppins. But pirate flag cloak billowing in the background.
There's our answer, I guess. Thanks for
I suppose.
him testing it out.
Do you remember the district we're going to?
Yeah, it was the
one that Guntir just touched is called Cradle Crest.
Cradle Crest.
The one that you guys
Sliver Crest, but that's Cradle Crest. There we go.
Close.
Okay.
That's the one. It's just push the same rune as me.
Okay.
Heinrich steps on, and you reach forward, and for what it's worth, you see Cradle Crest, flowers in air, and somewhat grayed out and slightly dimmer than the rest.
Mm-hmm.
You can read the Amber Basque.
Ah, damn it.
Almost like a flickering neon.
Yeah.
Not quite lit correctly.
Like the connection isn't fully there.
Yeah.
I like.
Make a just flat intelligence check.
That is 11.
Okay. So you touch the middle rune.
Yeah.
Same thing as before, and it lifts you up. There's that brief sensation of your stomach dropping as the cloud lifts you into the air. Mm-hmm. You approach the mountain, and you just collide with it. No, I'm kidding. You drift up.
Oh, you have to be depressed to get over the mountain.
Yeah, exactly. The giants are really just—they're a sad bunch. But
I want to get Nod back out for this ride too.
This owl appears. You can see the eyes gesture and turn towards you, and then the bits of feathers kind of ruffled by the slight breeze generated by the movement.
I do like a little pet on her head. I'm like, sorry to keep you away for so long, but go have fun for a bit while we're still up here.
As you put the eyes close, and you can see it kind of nuzzles into you, and then with just a little off into the distance, you see this owl spread out, and as it goes across where you see, now that you're up high enough, the sun is now dipping by, and for the rest of you, it's getting, for Shay especially, it is getting quite dark. Mm-hmm. The last bits of sun are now sinking into the horizon, but you drift off, you see not flying over, and as you see the feathers and the sun going through them, not just these teal patterns, but it is almost like celestial written into the feathers. Passes and then just kind of doing loops and long arcs around.
I'll look through her eyes too while she's doing this, just for fun. See what I
You
see.
close your eyes, and it's as if suddenly just this whole new world appears. You actually see briefly, Nod is looking at you as you do this, so you just see yourself from above and from the west. As Nod sweeps overhead, you see this mountain now, just risen up. Elements of, there are, now that the snow has shifted away, old trees that have been buried for centuries. Trees similar to the ones in the frost line, Shay, although these very much dead, having been encased in ice for a long time. As snow has fallen away, you can actually see elements of twisted silvery metal tarnished over the years. No glass attached to these, no marble. The lone skeletons of the structure rising from the mountain, but you would imagine there is plenty underneath. Mm-hmm. And then Nod Banks kind of heading back towards you. You see sad Guntir beginning to descend towards
just like basically the sad Michael Cera gif, but like not walking, just sort of standing in that position.
Sure.
I'm gonna have Nod go poop on his bald head. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that.
It would like And Guntir wouldn't even react.
So point of fact, Nod can't eat, and so Nod probably cannot produce waste.
Celestial.
Never mind.
It's like
There's an endless amount of things you could do.
a celestial glyph just plops onto my head.
1d10 magic. But you drift off, and if you guys wish to, one by one, you float into the air and over this mountain, seeing the bits of spindly metal as it catches the last bits of orange. And the last person to go, I believe, is Morwen. So Morwen, as you get up towards the top of the mountain, it is night. The
Pretty.
last bits of sunset you get to see as you rise, and then as you get to the top, you're seeing stars, a crescent moon. Very distantly, almost kind of in the middle of this crescent, you can see the blue glow of Aurelian star. A little bit dimmer than you remember it being. But you drift and join the rest of your friends in Cradle Crest. Guntir, Heinrich, Morwen, Shay, you now are at the beginnings of where you had been. You can see the hearth hall right in front of you where you had initially taken shelter. Behind you, elements of the mountain kind of spread out. Heinrich, who is the first person? Guntir, you don't see it. But Heinrich, as you are drifting down, the last bits of light kind of dying, you see a very freaked out looking deer galloping off and into the city. You recognize that you have probably transported an ecosystem up here.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how they do. But yeah, you are all now in Cradle Crest. The quiet structures, dark in the night sky. The stars here are beautiful. You have been traveling beneath cloud cover and in the snow, but here above the clouds, you can see just the endless expanse of the Alberon night sky. You see Aurelian star, you see several other constellations, those of you who are more astrologically inclined. Bernal would have loved this.
Yeah,
You
but he
can
was a
see
jerk.
clearly
Yes.
this
At his core, yes. No.
actual celestial bodies. You can see distantly the slight green tinge of the nearest planet to Alberon, who some of you who played in our one shot have actually been to. But you now are on this section of stone. What would you like to do?
Shay, I grabbed this for you. I figured you wanted to maybe represent this more than your current attire.
Thank you, Morwen.
Holds up your zinni clothing.
I'm
take
just
it from her.
sad trudging forward.
Okay.
Should we rest before we descend? It seems like that would be wise.
Yeah, you guys haven't, given the sleep cycle that you've now created for yourselves, you're getting close to the point that would be where you start rolling for exhaustion. For those of you keeping score, it's probably about 6 p.m.
I know this place doesn't feel good, but I don't want to just stumble to our deaths if we're not ready for the trek down.
It would be prudent. We can rest where we did before.
Gunter's like 70 feet in front of you guys now. He's like beginning to walk around the hearth hall. Gunter, you stop and look.
We're gonna sleep. I've got wine.
They return. Walking, and then you say, "I've got wine," and Gunter stops,
And just
turns,
turns.
and begins to walk back. Where are you guys going to sleep? There is the familiar structure of the hearth hall that you've already taken a short rest.
Why don't we go hang out in the game? Oh, wait.
I mean, is it cold?
Not as cold as it is at the base. Like, you're not in danger of taking environmental damage up here, curiously enough. And actually,
Wearing
after...
our rings too.
Yep. And after destroying elements of that ice below, it does feel faintly warmer.
Well, why don't we just
Shay,
sleep under
you-
the stars? It's pretty out. I'm gonna start taking out my winter garb and like laying it down like blankets and fluffing them up and making it look all cozy
Okay.
on the ground with rubble.
Warren begins to create a nest. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm gonna drink the wine and then sad sleep.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
let's
see
see. Which one
Guntir?
will I open?
Sure.
I need to shop a little bit, so keep going.
Okay, sure. Shay?
I want to find the highest, most stable spot in the vicinity.
Let me just pull up Yorn real quick. This one. Looking around, closest to you, this was at one point probably the tallest structure, but elements of it have collapsed in. You could see a little bit off into the distance. There was what was labeled for Heinrich as the healer's hut, and you could see at one point it looked kind of like a very small coliseum, more of a pillar than a proper coliseum. For a giant, probably only 2 stories high, but one single floor that has collapsed in. There are elements at the top, still probably about 60, 70 feet up. That's the closest thing that's fairly high and stable.
How far away is it?
200 feet.
Too far. How tall is the hearth hall?
Maybe somewhere between 18 and 20 feet. Not very tall, but tall enough that you would get a better vantage point from down here.
I want to do that.
Than from down here. Okay. Don't even need to roll for it. Very easy for you. You climbed the top. Perching up there, Assassin's Creed style, the whole world just spinning around in front of you. Make a perception.
You just leap off the whole thing.
It's all right. There's a bale of hay below you. You're fine.
Yeah, it'll catch you.
2,000 feet down.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of the bone meadow, just one cart full of hay.
And she happens to land in it exactly.
Yeah.
That's really there's
As soon as you
Hilly
press X.
Lenslow's name on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
24.
Okay. You look out. What are you looking for? Anything in particular, or just
Nothing in particular, I think.
your eyes scan across the environment? You see bits of movement here and there. Whereas before you had traveled through and seen Aarakocra flying in parts of the sky and monks training or patrolling, you don't see that. You see birds. You see deer, and as you take some time and wait, terrestrial animals of all kinds, very active, scouring this new environment. You can see off in the distance on that mountain, very distant, and you see it basically just in the moonlight, what looks like maybe a humanoid figure, kind of like just racing along the top. Not dressed in any kind of monkish garb. It seems like probably just like a hunter or something. Just having probably the most confusing day of their life. You see things alive in this place that was for a very long time still. You see stars. Beautiful stars, endless stars, planets, the moon. You're as close to the sky as you've ever been here. But at the same time, incredibly far.
I think I'm going to end up spending most of the night staring up at the stars because I don't imagine sleep's going to come very easily.
Okay. What are the rest of you guys doing, if anything, before taking a long rest?
I have
Drinking.
things to do.
I decided to pop open
All the
a
Constitution
bottle.
saving throw, Guntir. It's at disadvantage just to quicken having to continually roll. Normally you would get advantage, but we're just saying you're drinking a lot of wine. So, Morwen, which wine are you opening?
So I'm opening one of the bottles of fine wine that, just to put into perspective, which ones? It's right under an Ovark scale.
Okay, so you pulled this out of the earthen temple room in the ruined kitchen of the Captain's Keep Cord Temple.
But to note, it's specifically not the one, because I did note one too that was labeled death. It's not that one.
Okay, so you take out the cork, and this is a fairly old bottle of wine. You remember the cellar that you pulled it from had made most of you sick with the smell of rot and ruin within it. Immediately, it's this corky, almost vinegary smell, and you would imagine this wine is spoiled some time ago. While it isn't the one that reads death, it probably isn't the best thing to drink. Gunter, are you drinking this?
Yeah. But...
Okay, you don't need to make a Constitution check.
Oh, because I rolled a natural 20 and then an 18 plus 3.
Okay.
So
this is not good potable wine. This is not even safe to drink. Were it not for your dwarven constitution, you'd be rolling against poison now. You are merely just violently ill for a decent portion of the night.
Doesn't even matter. I already feel sick.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Gunter, don't puke on my winter garb.
I'll puke where I want.
That's pretty good.
22.
Okay. Gunter, you spend the next 3 hours alternating between drinking this horrific, it tastes like apple cider vinegar mixed with like old prune juice, and then all of it kind of strained through gym equipment.
I've had worse.
You take a slug, and then it's a battle to keep it down, and it's not a battle that you win most of the time. You're throwing up more than you're swallowing. However, right, and Heinrich, you are experiencing nearby.
I'm actually doing something else now once they've all settled down into their areas.
So Gunter's doing this until about 9 o'clock at night, when he falls asleep in a slight puddle of his own just filth.
And I'm just gonna, seeing that he's doing that, I'm wrapped up in the winter garb, like little bed nest, but I'm sure he's like next to me, but every time he pukes, I just kind of like take like the sleeve, and I'm just like,
yeah. And so you end up like a foot away from Gunter. Like you move a full foot away, because it's like kind of, you see bits of it crawling over the stone before the cold air influences it to become just tacky enough to stop. It smells bad. Heinrich,
we
what
all
do you
do.
I'm gonna go check out that what was it called, the guard post building.
Okay. You take some time. You wait for Gunter to finish his activity, but once you
I have like cure wounds like prepped the whole time.
Sure, you're just ready, because he's looking dicey. Like he looks pretty rough. But there's a point where
suicidal than normal.
Yeah, and this is a point where, like, you know, he looks like pale because he's thrown up a lot. He's like sweating as he sleeps. You can see like shivering slightly.
I wake up, I'm like, ah!
Yeah, it's just like bad food poisoning that you're inflicting on yourself continuously. You see that. You wait for a little bit. You see Morwen slowly migrating away from Gunter throughout the night. You don't see Shay, but you go over, once Gunter's asleep, towards this guardhouse. You see the large kind of rusted door, the opening in the window in the front, the kind of angular front wall.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do?
I want to gain access to the inside.
How are you going to do that?
You said a door on the back side?
This is a giant-sized door.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a door that's about 15 feet tall.
Okay.
Iron, fairly corroded, but less than you would expect given the age of this place.
Is it locked? Can I figure that out?
You leap and have to kind of grab what is like a long metal bar that has been welded to another one to the door. It goes slightly down, but it stops in a way that you feel a lock mechanism within it.
Okay. And then the slits that make up the window spying area?
Drop off that land. You move over around to the front. The slit itself may be like 2 feet wide. You could climb through it. Okay. You take a little bit of time. You have to like maybe take some rubble and pile it up, but you climb into it. Within the space, there is the skeleton of a giant. You can see the sternum part, which is like roughly this wide. It's cracked down the middle. Some impact probably is what killed him. Ouch. You see this rusted sword lying up against the wall of the guard post itself. A giant-sized sword, and not just a giant-sized like sword. This is at one point a great sword for a giant. So I mean, this thing is
giant size sword.
Yeah, this is like 8 feet tall, leaning up against it. You can see the corrosion is spread onto the stone itself a little bit. Make an investigation, or what are you doing within this space? I suppose.
Looking for if the ninth path stored things in here.
Okay, make an investigation check.
That is 14.
Okay.
I mean, I'll take time to do it too. If that
Okay.
helps.
Make another roll then. Make it an advantage.
Okay. That's 18.
Okay. You do find that they had stored something here. Looking at the body of this giant, you can see the cracked sternum leading down to ribs from just emaciated. There's still crumbling bits of skin, though not much, clinging to elements of the bone. You see an area of the bone that is remarkably clean. And looking at it and through it, you can see a body. Kind of looking down and getting closer, ruddy complexion, now blue-gray. This body has been dead for some time. A mountain elf you see wearing Zinyi garb. You can see ice on the eyes, which are open. Bits of frost on the lips, the cheeks, the skin. There is a bag that you can see kind of clutched to one arm, but they've been dead for some time. From the bag, you can see little bits of it open, prayer beads kind of spilling out. You've seen a lot of those. You can see a small tin, maybe about this size, like a little bit less than a foot long. That's kind of in there. There's other stuff within. What'd you like to do?
Search that.
Sure. Pull the bag away, and as you pull it away, the fingers are like frozen around the strap. You have to really yank it out. But opening the bag and going through it and taking a little bit of time, you find a potion of greater healing.
Oh.
You find prayer beads. You find in this small tin, as you open it, it contains a collapsible tea set. 2 cups, saucers, both metal, that almost like telescope out. They definitely bear the handiwork of Gamble. There's a kettle that collapses as well, and even this little, it's a box of amber-colored, when you open it up and smell it, it's sugar, which is very expensive. That is what you find.
Okay, I guess I'll take that bag. Searching around the sword specifically, is there anything?
Taking a little bit of time to look at the sword. I mean, it's massive, fairly well rusted. And as you look at the sword and kind of examine the area around it, kind of beneath it, almost hidden, probably not on purpose, but just the way that it kind of slid, there is a 3-foot-long key that you would imagine would open the door from the inside.
Okay. Well, at least do that with the mage hand.
So you take the mage hand, separates and drifts the key up, and you unlock the door. To open the door, it takes a fair amount of effort, but it does open on
I'll
rust.
twin that with me unlocking it with the mage hand, and I'll just shoulder it open.
Okay, again, a tall door, and shoulder doesn't quite work.
Shoulder as in like full weight behind the shoulder.
Yeah, you pull the whole. You have to kind of pull the whole thing down. It takes your body weight, and you feel the corrosion crumbling out of the lock as you do, and then you hit your shoulder into your whole body just kind of like bounces off.
Okay.
You put your shoulder in. What is your strength?
It's 10.
Okay, that's any less than this would be impossible for you. But you spend probably the better part of a half an hour slowly pushing it and hearing the hinges break bits of rust and corrosion away as they open for the first time in thousands of years. But after 45 minutes, you manage to slip out.
Okay.
All for some sugar.
The time difference between the first 2 questions and now, I might have to wait till the morning to use it.
You imagine you will have to wait till the morning, yes.
Then I will have to wait till the morning.
Okay.
I was looking for something specific, and the keyed in part was the sword, but no luck.
Unfortunately, no.
Back to...
You don't see Gunter's bag there, but it was a good try.
Yeah. It was like a hey, last ditch effort. We're right by this sword. I might as well, try for him.
But you head back, and Slowly, Heinrich, as you wade out through the night, awake as you always are, you eventually see the stars begin to fade into a light lilac sky that shows sunrise. The first beams crawl across. Heinrich, there are elements of the clouds beneath you that you can see through now. This section rising up has cleared a layer of the cumulus clouds that have hidden this place for a very long time. You see in the landscape beneath you and off slightly to the south a massive crater where a mountain once stood, hundreds of feet deep. You can see elements of snow and dirt, and you see just snow in all directions, but there's this crater of dirt and stone. You see from even here an element of a large cavern that has collapsed in, probably some underground structure or thing, or even just natural cave system that has been collapsed by everything being ripped up and things caving in. There was once a mountain here, and you can actually recognize distantly below it looks microscopic from here, but a plateau that at one point you had seen Manhattan fighting with itself on. The landscape is very different below. There are parts of it at the northwestern kind of corner where the River of Colors is now elements of it beginning to trickle down in. And you can see the level of the water is slightly lower as it progresses kind of towards the east. You would imagine you may be diverting the river.
We just created a lake.
Yep.
Potentially, yeah. All right.
But as these rays of light crawl across the landscape, it is midnight. And so this is where we're going to end for this evening. So thanks for everybody who tuned in and for this very eventful session. Yeah, geez. Doing all kinds of things. Thank you guys so much for joining us for Dungeons and Dragons. It's awesome getting to play every week, and then also having people follow along is awesome. We are, I think, going to be back next week. Yeah, everybody good? We'll be back next Friday for session 62. But until then, it is still increasingly crazy out there. So please stay safe. Please listen to all the advisories. Please wear a mask, please. As somebody who works in healthcare, I beg of you. But until then, stay safe. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.